green. The light is green. We are going to cue the intro. At CoCoTALK, we'd like to thank the patrons who sponsor our show, so our heartfelt gratitude goes out to Al Hartman, Alan Murphy, Alan Huffman, Amigos Retro. I just screwed up. At CoCoTALK, we'd like to thank the patrons who sponsor our show, so our heartfelt gratitude goes out to Al Hartman, Alan Murphy, Alan Huffman, Amigos Retro Gaming, Blair Ledoux, Brendan Donahue, Brian Wiesler, D. Bruce Moore, Davey Mitchell, Diego, Eric Canales, Gren Hewlett, Graham Vebke, Grant Leedy, Henry Strickland, Jason Downs, Jenna Farron, Ken Reichert, Kyle Etter, Malfunk, Michael Pitsley, Rick Hewlett, Paul Fiscarelli, Paul Shoemaker, Paul Thayer, Rob Inman, Stephen Wagner, Steve Batson, Steve Rasmussen, Terry Steen, Terry Steggy, The Backyard Shed Gang, Tom C., Tom S., Tim Lindner, and Tony C. Thank you ever so much, patrons. CoCoTALK is an unscripted live broadcast. Anything can and will happen. The views and opinions expressed by members of the panel and the live audience are their own and not necessarily those of the CoCoTALK show, its sponsors, affiliates, or subsidiaries. Open minds encouraged, sense of humor recommended. If any off-color comments were made, we're sorry.
Every talk show's got its custom theme song. CoCoTALK is no exception at all. We'd like to welcome those short or tall, hardware buffs to software dogs, even David Laird. CoCoTALK with Stevie Stroh. CoCoTALK, welcome to the show. Coco Thoughts with Samuel Gimes. Game on challenge, say Nick Marotta 3 times. Nick Marotta, the only talk show featuring David Laird. Wait for it.
Woo! Ooh. That was a David Ladd reference there. Good afternoon, everybody. Happy spring and welcome to CoCoTALK, the world's leading live talk show featuring blah, blah, blah. We're here with episode 204. We got our panel. We've got a special guest. We've got something very super cool to talk about today and to show off. So we'll go around the room, say hi to the panel, starting off with Alan Murphy. Hello, Alan. Thank you for being here.
Howdy, everyone. Happy spring.
Our resident Atari guy, didn't want to offend you there, but our resident Atari guy, Sloopy. Hey, Sloopy, hang on. How you doing, man?
Greetings and salutations.
And salivations right back to you. And Rick Euland's here. Hey, Rick.
Howdy, folks.
You know him. You love him. We got a guy by the name of
Nick Marotta.
How you doing, Nick?
Doing okay. Glad to be here.
We're glad to have you. Now, I don't want to confuse the Apple and the Atari. Two distinctly, individually different, but both crappy machines. But our resident Apple guy, Mark Overholzer's here.
Hey there, glad to be here.
All righty. Brian Wiesler's here. And the reason why we were only 3 hours last week is because Brian wasn't on to show us his latest acquisition. So Brian's here.
Hello.
Yes, our foreign correspondent, L. Curtis Boyle, has joined us. How's it going, eh?
Hello, everyone, eh?
The guy who makes things with toggle switches, the Coco man himself, Jason Reichert, is here. Hello, Jason.
Hello. And I think if Brian Wiesler has acquisitions this week, this might be a two-parter episode.
Well, we did have a time change, so we did gain an hour. So we got Mr. Bringing Sexy Back, Grant Leedy's here. How you doing there, Grant? He's muted, and he sounds better muted. We prefer Grant muted.
Yes, indeed. Blah, 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 blah.
There he is.
Is that better?
Unfortunately,
no,
no, it's not.
really,
No, because now we can hear you. Yes.
Hey, I bring sexy back. Don't forget it.
That's right, Brian.
Well, they won't take it back unless you kept the receipt.
That's right. Oh dear Lord. And Brian, the Music Man Schubring, is here. Hey, Brian, how are you? Okay, he's doing that well. James Diffendaffers here. Hey, James.
Hey, I just want to give a shout out to all the Coloradans that are barbecuing on this meatless day.
Okay, there you go. From down under, the thunder, the guy who likes to say,
"Oh, crikey!"
It's Nick Merentes. Good eye, Nick.
Oh, crikey. Yeah, good eye.
And we do have, and I'm not even referring to Jay yet. We'll save Jay for last. We'll save the best for last. But let me just say this.
Stop right there.
We've got a special guest who goes by the name of
David Laird.
David, are you excited to be here today?
Why, yes, Stevie. Is everybody ready for today's train wreck? I'm sure everybody watching is. So let's get this train wreck going.
Ooh, yes. Okay. So we do have a special guest today who has got something to show us as well. But I thought we would first just introduce our guest and maybe play a brief game of This Is Your Life. But thanks for being here, Jay Searle. How are you?
I'm good, Stevie. How you guys?
Good, good. Thanks for joining us today and sharing your latest update. So, yeah, I guess tell us a little bit about what you used to do back in the day and what you're doing nowadays.
Well, I started back when I was, I don't know, my early teens, I guess, with the Color Computer 2. I think I started with I want to say a 32 kilobyte one, and then my mom got it upgraded for me. And then, like most people, I went off into the IBM compatible world for a long time. And then about, I don't know, it seems like a long time now. I'm going to say maybe 10 years. I decided to start collecting CoCos. And then I decided, you know what, I really liked apples when I was a kid, so I started collecting apples. And then I said, you know, I really didn't even ever see a Commodore, but they look cool too, so I started collecting them. So
it's beginning to sound like an addiction here.
Yeah, so I have a whole room full. I guess someday if you guys want me to show you, I will. Whole room full of Commodore stuff, Apple stuff, CoCo stuff, along with a bunch of my other hobbies. Some basically my hobby room. But anyway, so then I had never really done much other than basic programming when I was a kid. Just because there wasn't a lot of information. Like I didn't even know there was such a thing as, you know, a assembler cartridge you could get for it. I didn't even know that even existed. So then I started looking at assembler. Once I got back into the CoCo, I was doing it on CoCo mostly, just because it was a more compact platform, easier to plug into a TV type thing. So did that for a while, and then tinkered around a lot. Started looking at CMOC C compiler, playing around with that a little bit. And then last year, before the pandemic, well, I guess as the pandemic was hitting us, the Coco Crew put out a thing on Facebook for basically a contest for programs or projects or whatever for CoCo Fest. So I entered in that, and I made a fairly small, simplistic, like a farming style game, like a farm town style game.
Oh, this is like a 2-pack of adapters.
Yeah, that was Jason. Should have been muted. Yeah,
I was muted. Thank you very much.
Anyway, made that in about 2 weeks, and then of course we all know that you know, CoCo Fest got canceled. So, and then a few months later, probably I'm going to say maybe around August, I think, Brett Gordon was on CoCoTALK just showing off a real early version of a server type system that he was developing and he wanted to make a game with. And I saw that episode and I hit him up and I asked him if he wanted some help doing that, coming up with ideas and programming the game piece of it. And he said, sure. And so him and I have been working since then on what you guys are going to see today.
That's cool. That's cool. So I remember that when I met you in person at the first Tandy Assembly, and I don't know how we knew each other from before, but I remember a couple of very distinct things. You said, "Man, you're like taller in person than I thought you would be."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, I've never heard that before." But the other thing I thought that was really interesting was Boise remembering you. It's like, wait a second.
Yeah,
you're Jay Searle, and Boise had remembered that somebody wrote a review on Amazon about his book and criticized something about it. It's like, wait a second, you're that guy who wrote that review about me on Amazon,
and
aren't
you? The best part about that was he pulled that up out of his reviews in about 10 seconds. Like he had boom, boom, boom. He's like, here, what you said.
It was bookmarked.
That was great.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah.
That was a fond
and
memory.
you do look shorter on camera than you did in real life. So.
That's because he's sitting down.
Yeah, I think it's just the angle of it. But yeah, when I saw him, I'm like, wow, he was really tall.
Well, I can say the same about you. You're no,
that's
you know,
true.
Oompa Loompa yourself. So yeah. So yeah, we were following the progress of your farming thing. We were showing off all your demo videos and stuff as that was coming along. That was looking really neat. I was really enjoying that. Have you? Is that still around? Is you thinking you might?
I still have it. Actually,
Yeah.
I think I sent you a copy of the disc on Discord.
Oh shoot!
In our private chat.
Okay.
But that was a while ago. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
I unfortunately
dropped the ball there.
Unfortunately, had lost. I lost, or I'll say misplaced the source code. Not sure what happened to it. I built a new computer in between then and now, and not quite sure what happened with it. But anyway, I do still have the disc itself with the program, so it's still available to be played.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that was.
What was it? Was it completely completed, or did you still have some other plans for it?
No, I basically got to the end of the 2 weeks, and I got to a point. I don't know. I was running into what I thought were starting to be memory glitches, where I might have been using too much program memory, and maybe eating into the screen memory. I wasn't quite sure, and basically I was at a point where it was complete to the point where I was willing to submit it for the contest, and that's pretty much. I never really did much after that.
Okay.
But I mean, it was a complete game as far as what it ended up being.
Yeah, it was neat to watch the progress on that, to follow your vlogs and stuff. It's pretty cool. All right, so tell us about Legends of, how do I pronounce this? Alcarron?
Alcarron.
Alcarron. Legends of Alcarron. Tell us about this project.
Well, I guess I told you a little bit already how I kind of got in hold of Brett. Me and Brett had met at that same Tandy assembly that you were talking about. That was the first time I met him. So we knew each other a little bit from that. And then we kind of just talked about it and seen what he wanted to do. And he basically told me, hey, I want to basically build like a multiplayer online system that, a bunch of people can get on, play at the same time, and then use the CoCo as a client. And I was like, okay, that sounds cool. So I said to him, well, what do you want to do? He's like, well, I'm going to handle the server and a lot of the CoCo low-level stuff, and you handle the game stuff.
Okay.
Like, sounds great.
Divide and
Which
conquer.
is kind of what it's kind of like what I told when I first contacted him. Like, hey, I don't know a whole lot about the server part, but I can probably work on the game part for you. So anyway, we moved along at that, and we got pretty far down the way, and then we ran out of memory on the CoCo. Well, I'm gonna say ran out of 64K of memory on the CoCo. So Brett went into a memory organization sub project, I guess I'll call it, which took for different reasons, not just because of that, a few months to get us through that portion. That was till about October, I guess, and then maybe November. We got through that, and we reorganized the memory. So essentially now we have we use 264 kilobyte memory pages. The first page of memory is what we call a common area, and that has basically everything in it that the program might need at any point in time. And then the rest of the first page is most of our graphic assets, and then the screen buffer. And then the second page also has obviously the same common page because it's common, and then all of our program code that's basically non-graphics related. So that's where we're at now as far as the memory map. And like I said, that took a while to get turned around for different reasons, like I said. But we got back on track probably November-ish, and kind of got to the point where we are now, right now.
Okay, and you're going to show us?
Yeah.
All right, you're welcome.
So let me
to
see if I
share.
can get my share here. This one. Share.
Okay.
Guys, got that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we see your desktop.
Okay, so I just want to, I guess I'm just going to real quick. I don't know if any of you guys have watched the previous videos I put out in the game, 1 or 2 I put out, but essentially the way it works is I use PowerShell, but it really doesn't matter what you want to use. You got to start up a DriveWire instance to run on your computer. I use PyDriveWire. That has to be running. The whole game requires DriveWire because of the interaction. And then when we start the game up, so but I compile it every time because I have the code, but obviously you won't have to do that every time. But when it starts up, once I get to this next step here, give me a second, I want to miss it. Okay, so if you see here, back here, this is what is the output of our Galaxy server.
Okay.
Which is what the PC-based part of the interaction is. So essentially, the Galaxy server is it's actually written in C, but then a lot of it's implemented in Lua, and it essentially handles all the transmission of information between the CoCo and itself for the game to run, essentially. So that's that, and it just all this stuff you're seeing go by now. This is just a 3-second counter that does some things in the game. Right now, it's just counting, but and this basically just I can use it as debugging, pretty much is what we use it for right now. I'm not sure what the final output will be for the server itself, but right now I use it for a lot of debug information just to make sure that if something doesn't look right or whatever, I can come in here and try to maybe turn on something to look at it and see if we can figure out what's going on. So anyways, as you guys saw when I started this up, it said press S for step, so I press the S. Gets us into this Galaxy setup, which obviously you can see is still on the CoCo.
Yeah.
Right now it has 4 options. It's going to have at least 1 more, and I'm sure it will go some other aesthetic changes. It's pretty utilitarian right now, but essentially the way this works is there's 2 drivers you can use. You use the DW Becker driver, which is for using DriveWire with MAME, or I shouldn't say MAME, but an emulator.
Yeah.
And then we have DW.driver, which is if you're actually running it on a CoCo with a wire. The connect string, basically, it's like a typical modem connection string from back in the day, I guess you would say. And localhost, if you have the server running somewhere else, you can change that to the other, that IP address to hit. And 7000 is the port that we're using for the communication. And right now there's only 1 user and password, and that's Anon, which is just short for anonymous. And as you can see below, if you do change these settings, you can save, load, and then reboot to, try your changes or see your settings or whatever. So but I'm going to leave that way because that's the only setting that works right now for users. I'm going to execute this again and let it go through. We'll fall through the setup after like 3 seconds.
Okay, and we can see in the background your Galaxy server just did some stuff there too. So we can see some
basically gave me a bunch of debug output telling me what got loaded in and information about the tables that it occupies and what's been put in each table, that kind of thing.
Super helpful.
Yeah, and my handy timer is still timing along. So you can see the game starting up here, and you'll see some status. So until this Anon was loaded successfully, Anon's spells were loaded, Anon's items were loaded, Anon's gears were loaded, blank was loaded.
I love this. These graphics are so cool, man.
And then it says, welcome to Alcarron, don't eat the toads. So
good advice for everyone.
Don't eat the yellow snow either.
Yeah.
You can lick them, but
Brett put that in from as soon as I picked the name, and we decided to call it Alcarron. Don't ask me why I picked that name. I just thought it sounded like a cool fantasy name, so I guess that's why I picked it. But anyway, he added that, and it's been there ever since. So I have no idea quite what it means, but
it's great advice at any rate. So.
right. I actually tinkered with an idea, maybe somewhere putting some kind of toad related thing in the game, but haven't got to that point yet. So there's essentially 2 pieces. You move around the map, obviously, with the arrow keys, and Right now, it's set up so that it's set up for a very simple battle mechanic, which I'll show you here in a little bit. But there's essentially two menus that you can get into. You can get into what I call the main menu, or that battle menu by virtue of going into a battle. So first I'm going to bring up the main menu. So this shows your character attributes, I guess is the best word. And you can see there, I think most of them are probably self-explanatory. CN is Constitution. And speed.
Do you have all the amendments to the Constitution as well?
No. And obviously your experience, and then the gold.
Armor class, hit points.
Yep. MP, magic points.
Okay.
Your DX is dexterity, that type of thing.
Yep.
And then above that, you can see it shows your level, and then warrior is your class, and squire is your level within that class. And then off to the side here is a menu, which I can move around and check out. So if I wanted to, I can go into spells, and this is going to show me what spells I have available to me. And right now, you can see that the heal spell, which is lighted up, and the X's there just right now for me for testing for length of words, so that's why that's there.
Okay.
So I have to limit it to get everything to set up properly, so that's why you'll see X's in some of these things. Just because it's
for character placeholder, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. Yep. You can see the cost for it is 100. So if I try to heal myself,
hold on one second. All right, let me unmute you, Jay. We're getting some noise here. How do I unmute you? Can you unmute yourself, Jay? Or are you unmuted?
I doesn't say
okay,
that I am
no,
muted.
okay, sorry. Okay, I had to mute the call. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So anyways, you see there, I tried to use a spell I don't have enough MP for, so the server came back and told me, hey, you don't have enough MP for that. But if I go back in and I hit this test spell, which is another heal spell, but it only has a cost of 2, as you can see. Then the server's going to happily tell me that I cast it on myself. The spell was a success, and I got 100 HP, and you can see HP now is 110.
Okay.
From where it was. So that's how that works. As far as spells, inventory, which is something I've worked on for a long time, I'm pretty happy with.
Oh, very visual.
So this is the inventory I came up with. You got 4 choices here. You can use an item. You can examine the item, which will tell you basic characteristics of it. You can unequip or equip it, which the way that works is like if you pick a sword. Well, swords are a little more. Let me pick something else first. So say you pick a new helmet. Whatever helmet you pick is going to get swapped into your area in the middle here, and then the other one would be released back into your inventory. So you're always removing and putting on another piece. And then drop simply just drops it. Like if you just need room in your inventory and you want to drop something, you can do that.
Is there a weight factor right now? Can you become encumbered in this game at this point, or no?
You can have a maximum of 40 items at 256 items for types of each item. So essentially, you got 40 of these slots that you're seeing on the right-hand side, and you can have where you see the 3 that can be 256.
Oh, really? Okay, so it's just counting items. It's not factoring in.
I'm sorry,
weight
I take that back. 99. It's 99. I'm sorry. It's only 2 digits.
So, okay.
But no, it's not a weight. That's a actual inventory count, like how many of those things you have.
Gotcha.
So if I go down to examine here and I hit enter on the first item,
it is
see that it tells us, yep, it's a potion. Tells you it affects HP, what kind of change you get, which is -10. So minus, obviously, when gets used on an enemy.
So you can use that potion on an enemy to take away his health. Okay.
And then you can see applies in battle. AOE says all, which AOE I haven't implemented yet, so it really isn't as important. Tells you what its type is, although I need to put an E there. I have that spelled wrong. Tells you, is it equipable? No. And then I just have 1 and 1 for buy price, sell price. That doesn't actually do anything yet either.
Okay.
But you can basically go through any of these, see what they are, obviously. Tells you that's an iron shield, and not a whole lot about that really is working for us yet as far as what you can do with it. But so anyway, that was for examine. So basically, like I said, you can pretty much And the neat thing about this,
I'm going to take it the tan color is leather armor versus like iron armor, right?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll show you that here in a minute. The other thing that's cool about most of these menus, I think it's cool anyway because I made it happen, is for every 8 items in each row here, once you go past the next 8, it automatically gives us another box and an ability to scroll those next 8 up to 5 tiers. And then it does the same thing as you'll see later in the party menu and such. Although I can't really demonstrate it because I don't have enough items or enough party members to do it, but you'll get the idea. But anyway, yeah. So let me go down to unequip, equip, and we'll go up here. Oops, sorry, got to go over here. And if we try to swap our leather sword, tells it to swap for the iron sword, and you can see now that the leather sword is in my right hand there.
Yeah.
And then if I swap out the leather shield, you can see that it told me it got swapped. Now we have leather there. And then I'll just go through, swap all these out so you guys can see what they all look swapped out. And also notice that when you put them in your, when you actually wear them as part of your gear, it does not take them out of your inventory. So you'll notice that the inventory numbers have not gone down because
it's
technically still in your inventory.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just that
it would only go down if you drop an item, then I would do that.
Or use it. Yep.
So I'm assuming that the different armors you wear affect your armor class, right? So your defense, your defense level will go down.
That's correct. They will, and the weapons will have a particular attack value, attack attribute that will get compared in some mathematical magic that I come up with later that I haven't done yet.
It's a great RPG components that I'm used to in modern games. So the fact you've got all this here is pretty awesome, man.
Yep. I mean, I could easily do weight too. It's just you got to bite it, taking a little bite, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So, but anyway, so that's how you can see how we swapped out basically all of our gear to leather from iron.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously if I go down here and if I'm on the potion and I hit drop, then tell me your potion was dropped and you can see it went down to 2.
Yeah, your count just went down. Yeah, that's a great inventory system.
So let's go back. I'm going to go down. Now this is a party menu, which is basically it's partially implemented. It doesn't actually do anything yet, but I'm just going to show it to you guys just so you can kind of get an idea what else we have going on. So you can hit start party. And it'll tell you your party has been created. The JK is just joking, or just kidding for just for an output. If you go to join party, now see this is where it would give you the listing of different people's parties that you can join that are available on the server. And then if you select a party and then hit join, it'll tell you that you requested to join basically number 1's party. Is being processed. Then we go down here, add friend. So the way friends work is you cannot add somebody as your friend until you're in a party with them. So you join somebody's party, you come in here, you say, hey, I want to be friends with player 1. You hit player 1, and then it sends a request to that player to say, hey, this person wants to be your friend. You can accept that. And then once you can accept that, I'm going to make it where you can more easily get into parties with your friends once you have them as your friend. Kind of like a more modern partying system would do. Then you can go down to remove friend. Does the same thing. You just pick which friend you want to remove. Obviously, there's no request for that. It just removes them. And then approve, disapprove, I don't have implemented yet, but that'll be just for you to be able to say, yeah, I'll let them be my friend type thing.
Is there a maximum size to the party?
The party, your personal party is going to be 4 people, at least for right now. That's where the way I have it set up. Okay. But like I said, you can, hopefully we'll have it as there'll be many other players on screen, but there'll be 4 that are in your particular party. And, did that for several different reasons, and like I said, it may expand in the future, but right now I have it set up for 4. So let me see. So we went through that. We did that. Log off right now doesn't do anything either. So we'll get out of here.
Can we see some of the world? Can you like walk around the map and show off some of the?
Yeah, well, I'm going to show you what the battle looks like. Oh, look at that. We took one step and it got us into a battle. So it gives you your player card again. But now you can see we have a different menu. We have attack, spell, item, and run. I'll go to run. It tells us that you tried the run, but it doesn't do anything. At least not yet. But what I can do, you can see it came in. Wait a minute. I think I hit the wrong button. Yes, I did. Sorry, that was my fault. I have a trick button that lets me get into the battle menu when it shouldn't actually let me, and I think I hit that button. So, like I said, so now it tells you, hey, battle started. The blob attacked for 3 hit points, and you can see my hit points went down by 3. So I'll go into attack. It gives you each item in your left and right hand. Obviously, you don't want to attack with a shield, so we use a sword. That's the only thing we have to attack. If you notice now, his HP is at 20, so I'm going to attack him. It says you attack the blob with your leather sword. The attack was a success. Blob was hit and loses 10 HP. So then, of course, the blob attacks again for 3 more. You see my HP went down by 3 again. Go into attack, leather sword. Now you can see the HP for the blob is down to 10, and we'll attack again.
You have triumphed. Yeah.
You have triumphed. The blob is dead. So that's how that works. Now, what I want to do, make sure I still have it open. I do. What I want to do is I want to shut down the game and restart it, but I want to turn off my battle menu so that we don't have to go only a couple steps at a time and hit a battle, so we don't waste a bunch of time trying to show you guys this stuff. Let me.
While you're saying, I just had a quick question for you. Do you eventually plan to have like pictures of the monsters themselves when you're attacking them? Or?
Yep. Well, yeah, like where you saw where it said blob and it had the little king statue, there will be a picture of the monster there as well.
Okay.
We just haven't implemented that yet, but yes.
Yeah, that's kind of old school Final Fantasy style. If you can see your picture and their picture at the same time as you go in your turn-based combat there, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's kind of it's loosely based on Dragon Warrior for the NES.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody's played that. It's loosely based on that, just because that was like my favorite RPG when I was a kid. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to.
This is really impressive, though. I mean, not only how everything looks, but all the thought and mechanics you've put into it already.
Definitely.
That's fine. While you're doing that,
this would be a good game even without all the networking stuff added in.
Yeah, if this was a single player.
Well, the cool thing about it is, and this is something that me and Brett talked about, is like. We can have a map, like our main map there. We can have, I think he said 2,000 by 2,000 squares of information.
Wow.
But then the thing is, we can have multiple 2,000 by 2,000 because the server just pushes down what the CoCo needs for displaying at that point in time and the tiles that it needs.
Right.
So
the
you're only using so much memory on the CoCo.
Right.
You know?
Right. The world's bigger than the CoCo's RAM. So the CoCo's like looking at a portal into a bigger world.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the other cool part about it is if you have like some complex computation you're trying to do, you can offload that to the server. The server does it lickety split. CoCo doesn't have to spend any time doing it. It just sends back the answer. And, it makes something that could be more complicated for you to get done on the CoCo in a timely manner. Just get it, all you have is a transit time of the com link, basically. So,
yeah.
So a question on the system requirements here, obviously a CoCo 3 and drive wire. Will it need 512K, or are you going to be able to cram in 128? Or
it's 128 right now. I know Brett desires to keep it at 128K. However, we realize that most people now have at least 512. So that's not a hard stop, but it's kind of where we're at right now. So I think the only thing that would push us over that is if we get to a point where the game code is even using up the new memory map that we gave it with like almost 50 some kilobytes of room. Then we might have to dive into another page. But even then, that might just mean we have less room for some graphic assets, you know what I mean? So it's hard to say how that will end up, but I know right now he's kind of hoping to keep it at 128.
Now, here's a really silly question, but let's say you have, let's say you're running DriveWire on your PC, and you've got a couple of other computers on your home network that would theoretically be able to find that DriveWire. So let's say you got 2 or 3 laptops running MAME. Could you do a multiplayer with multiple emulators running off the same DriveWire server on the same home network?
I would think so. I haven't tried that.
So you could.
But I would think you could.
I'm almost thinking you could get multiplayer at home just by all being on the same LAN through emulation.
You can, but the problem with that is that you have to have your own server then as well.
Oh, is there going to be a public version of the server available?
That's what we plan on doing. Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
so then
Yep.
so you could
run one at home, but whatever you've done online, there's not going to be an easy way to transfer that.
Oh yeah, no, I get it. But if you just wanted if you were having a hard time finding multiplayers out in the wild, and you had another friend at home and say, "Hey, fire up your laptop, boot up MAME, let's play."
Yeah, I think, like I said, I ain't gonna say 100% that would work, but I believe that would work. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so we're back into the map, and I turned off battling here, so hopefully I don't get pushed into a battle. So here's a neat little thing that Brett came up with. If I move over here, this is a portal.
Okay.
And if I face it and press my space bar, it tells me I feel woozy. And we got teleported into this cave. And then if I back up and come back to it and hit my space bar again, I feel woozy again, and now we're back where we started.
Okay.
So that was a cool little thing that Brett made. As you can see, we also going around here, we have different types of tiles. Obviously, grass, sand, water is not walkable, so it won't let me go in there and fall in and drown myself.
Now, do you drain do you have food points or anything like that in there?
HP.
Are those beer mugs?
They are.
So if you're walking on grass versus sand, do you accelerate or decelerate?
Oh, I see what you're saying. I want to do that in the future, yes, but it does not do that yet.
Okay.
But
I remember the old Ultimate games, like if you're walking in forest, your food went down like twice as fast.
Yeah, even in Dragon Warrior, like if you walk through poison, you lose hit points as you're walking through poison. So I probably will do something like that. I haven't quite 100% figured that out yet. But now, if you can see as we're coming down here, which is what is really cool about this, is it's actually being raycasted from your character's point of view. So the wall is in front of you. As you can see, you're behind the wall.
Yeah,
you should
yeah.
But it's only being raycasted to both sides, so you're only able to see kind of what you'd be able to see based on your field of view. So as I keep moving here, you'll see that a new piece of everything will keep getting raycasted as I move along. This is all Brett, by the way.
That's really cool.
And then this is over here. Entrance to the cave. And I believe if we come over here, there's the portal that we transported to originally.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty smooth, the clip isn't terrible. So this is good.
Yeah, well, the other thing, the other thing too is it's not animating yet, so it may get smoother with animation, which we just haven't quite, haven't got to that point yet. But yeah, I think that is pretty much the deal that I can think. I think I showed you pretty much the main.
Yeah, no, I love the whole look and style of it. I love the RPG elements.
Mark, you think of any overhauls? Do you think of anything else I'm missing?
No, I think that's about all of it that I've seen.
Yeah, Mark has been kind of helping us with basically running code, testing code, and then doing some asset. What would you call that? Management stuff for us to try to get assets to be a little bit easier to make. So
got that figured out.
Oh, excellent. So so that's it. So I guess I'll open it up for questions or comments or anything they might want to ask, and then I guess that's it.
Cool.
I have one question. You've got some fairly large asset maps and stuff. Are the maps edited on the PC side then, or
yes, the apps are. We picked the tiled program. I don't know if you ever got into that. There's a program out there called Tiled that's specifically meant for doing mapping for games. And so we looked at a couple different ways. Brett thought about making his own program at first, but then he realized that Tiled put out a format that that Lua could work with. So then he wrote Yeah. So then he wrote a Lua tool. Essentially, it takes the tiled information that gets output and gives us a map and tile data that we can use in the game then. So
also
yes,
using A-Sprite for the images initially.
Yeah, using A-Sprite for most of the images now. Yeah, we pretty much centralized on that as well.
Okay, so people could actually create their own maps, their own characters, etc., and interface it with your system once it's done. They have those tools.
They could, but then they'd have to run it on their own server because all this stuff will be server side.
Okay.
So if they're on the public server, then they're going to have to go with whatever's on the public server. But yeah, if they want to run something personal and they want to learn to use the tools, they could do that. Yep.
Okay. That's cool.
Actually, it's not that hard. Actually, it runs under both Windows and Linux, and it should run on the Mac too. And I'm running one on a Raspberry Pi here, plus my main machine. So
yeah, we have it right now. It's set up. I'm using. I guess this is worth talking about because eventually we'll make it open source. So I'm using CYG Win on Windows. That allowed me to compile GCC 6809, which is the compiler we use for the program. And it also allows me to use make. So we have basically a single make file that's been written so that you can compile on Windows with CYG Win or on Linux with make, and they basically will compile the same, give you an output, gives you the game, gives you the disk, gives you the Galaxy server in the right format. So works pretty nice.
Wow.
That was mostly Brett as well.
Brett is he's a mad scientist.
He is. Brett's he is.
That's really cool stuff. This is something that we really haven't seen. This has been, I think, on a lot of people's minds and wish lists. Like, yeah.
Well, the problem with a game like this, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's okay.
The problem with a game like this is that you can't get very complex with the typical amount of memory, especially if you want to stay at 128K. I guess if you're willing to go all the way to like 512 or even 2 megabyte, I guess you could do it, but then you're getting into some really complicated memory swapping. So,
right.
But by leveraging the server to do a lot of the work, it cuts down on the amount of. I mean, if I would easily be blown past 128K now if I was trying to do this all just on the CoCo. So, right.
Like if you had to load the whole world into RAM, you 2,000 tiles squared, you couldn't do it.
Right. Well, yeah. Or you just have to limit the map to such a small map, So, and then plus, you'd have to develop a whole server program for a CoCo to serve it to other CoCos over DriveWire, which I'm sure you could do that, but it's a lot, in my opinion, simpler just to use a full-blown computer to do that. So that's what we did.
Yeah, that's really impressive. You can't wait to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's like on a PC. I mean, you don't run your own, Warcraft server. You join other ones and.
Right. Yep. Yeah. It's the same idea. It's
model.
just using a CoCo instead of using a regular PC.
Yeah.
Same idea.
Love it.
Do you have any considerations of making this multi-platform eventually, especially since you get people like Mark Overholzer, who's an Apple guy?
I'm already planning on porting it to the Apple.
Yeah, I think it would be. There's certain candidates that would be good for. Obviously, it has to be ones that would have to have at least 128K available. So that would leave like the Commodore 64 out, unless you have one of those RMU or REM things, wherever they are. Yeah. And most people don't have that. I guess the Commodore 128 maybe. Obviously, an Apple 2GS is kind of where I would go if I was going to do it for an Apple, because then you get really good graphics as well.
Atari ST and Amiga, I assume.
Yeah, I was going to say probably like a 1080 ST maybe, and then early Amigas probably could do it as well. So yeah, I would think you could. Now, do I have plans of doing that? No, not at this time. However, I have thought about making an IBM, just an actual computer IBM version of it. So I may work on that at my own, but I'm hoping that when we release the source code, people will see it, and guys like Marco will take it and try to make an Apple version, and maybe somebody will try to make a Commodore version. So we'll see what comes out of it, but I don't have any plans to, as far as our group doing that.
Okay.
That is very cool. Super duper duper impressive. And thanks for sharing that with us.
Yep, no problem. Let me get out of my screen here if I can get my mouse back.
Anybody know how to question, are you guys going to be doing sound assets from the server too, like digitized bits of speech?
Well, yes. Yeah, so what will happen is whatever sounds are needed probably for that particular map will get downloaded either in the beginning like you saw or live time as they're needed. So yeah, all that will probably come down as well.
Because I'd imagine if you're trying to keep it in 128K, like digitized samples might be too much to keep it in 128. So maybe you'd send like tone, like use tone 5 at volume 6 or something, and then just have a sound engine inside that actually just plays, sound effects based on that as opposed to actual digitized. If you're trying to keep it in 128K.
Right. Yeah, we have it. Like I said, I don't want to say we're flying by the seat of our pants, but we kind of flying by the seat of our pants. And when we when something comes up that we're like, that's not going to work, then we just change it to make it work. So we may get to the point. Yeah. So we may get to a point where we're like, hey, let's add sound, and we'll be like, that really doesn't work real well. We'll have to figure it out, But if we have to go past 128, then we'll probably do that. But
one thing about it is that the drive wire is already set up between drive wire and drive wire Becker, so it could be insert another network layer in there, maybe an actual NIC, since we have some of those coming along. Same thing could be done with sound too. Different sound portions could have drivers. So
yeah. I mean, I could see it feasible that you could have like the Apple, whatever they call that, the Ether Apple or whatever it's called, and
Ethernet. Yeah, Ethernet.
Ethernet. Yeah, right. I can't think what it's called.
Yep.
And develop like you said, a drive wire driver for the Apple, and then you have the connection. Now you just got to create the program. So, and the Galaxy server itself really doesn't have to change depending on what what you want your game to be. So, I mean, obviously you have to change the main game file, but the server itself will still kind of do what it does. So,
very
as far as it's concerned, it's just another client. So,
what's that?
Exactly. Yeah, client exchanges data. Exactly.
Yep.
Got some suggestions here. Frodo is suggesting the Amiga, the Speccy 128K, Spectrum Next. Tom Eric Anderson suggested the Amstrad CPC. Obviously, you're not going to be doing any of these. You'll let them do their own work.
Like I said, we will, when we get to probably, I'm going to say like an open beta sort of place, we'll probably open up the, help me, Mark, where GitHub, we'll open up the GitHub repository.
Yeah, we'll have to document the server protocol.
Yep, so everybody can get at the files and do as they wish. So we'll see what happens after that.
Cool. And we've been joined by a person we have not seen in a while. Steve Bjork is here. Hey, Steve, thanks for joining us.
Hey there, how's things going?
Super. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's just I couldn't use my computer there for a few months.
All right.
I was blind.
Oh, my goodness.
Cataracts.
Oh, dear Lord.
Well, I had cataract surgery on one eye a few days ago, and let's just say the world looks a lot better.
That's awesome news.
That's just great. It's great to see you. So that's awesome. Yeah. That is awesome.
Yeah, but because of COVID, they delayed everything and anything they could on doing it. I really should have had the surgery about last October, if not earlier. But I got to the point that, I just couldn't see, couldn't drive, couldn't do anything.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep. But I'm halfway back.
Good. Well, good. It's great to see you. Great to see you. And
thank you.
Hey, Stevie, can I make one more thing I want to say?
Oh, absolutely.
Because I just thought about it. What I would like to do is, whatever you want to call it, I guess an alpha test of a very small group of people, probably 15 maybe. Just a real short alpha, maybe a couple weeks, where I'd like to have people basically run the server locally on their computer and kind of just play the game and see if they notice any bugs that we haven't or that kind of thing. So if you're interested in doing that, then go to the Legends of Alcarron page on the CoCo Discord. Shoot me a message or Brett a message that you're interested. And what kind of platform you're going to run on, because we'd like to have people that can test it on the real CoCo, people can test it on Linux, people can test it on Windows, just to make sure that what we're seeing really is, the way it really does work, because it's just so we're not getting a bias to our own situation.
Right.
So, like I said, if you're interested, go ahead, go to Legends of Alcarron on CoCo Discord, leave us a message, and then we'll pick from that group and get in contact with you. Make sure you leave your email address, or if you don't want to leave it publicly, you can DM me privately and do it that way.
That's awesome.
That's it. Thanks.
I would love to try it. So yeah. Cool. That is really cool. I'm really looking forward to seeing that. That's something that we really haven't seen yet. There was a few back in the day, like P-51 Mustang, maybe a few chess programs. There wasn't a lot.
Chess checkers, Othello, and stuff.
You mean as far as isometric, you mean?
No, multiplayer. Just multiplayer on the CoCo.
Yeah, over a modem or whatever back then. But.
So bringing a lot of the more modern features to a CoCo game, like a party, joining a party and a friends list and making friends and
well, I'll tell
all
you,
that
when
kind
we
of
first
stuff.
started talking about this, I'm like, man, it'd be great if we could have parties. And Brett's like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. And then I think to myself, there's no way we're ever going to do parties. And now we actually almost have it figured out how to do parties. So it's pretty cool. So I said, we just kind of, whenever we hit like a problem, we just kind of, I bang my head against the wall for a while, and then I go bug Brett, and then he usually helps me, and then we, conquer that and move on to the next thing. So, yeah, it works out pretty well.
Awesome. Well, great. And feel free to hang out as long as you'd like. And if people in the chat, if you think of more questions or comments, just feel to throw them out as the show goes on. And what time
or you can contact us on Discord.
And hey, Curtis, I also want to say you can make an OS 9 version if you want.
Yeah, because I don't have enough to do.
Right.
That'd be another platform, I guess.
But yeah, I mean, DriveWire support's built in there too, so yeah, that would be possible.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll volunteer Bill for it.
There you go.
All right. Well, it actually looks like we have been going on for almost an hour. So how about we'll take a brief commercial break, and then we'll come back with Game On, and I believe there is probably a Samuel Gimes to play us into Game On. So we'll take this break, and then we'll be back with Nick Marotta's favorite part of the show, where he gets to basically be the star. So we'll be back after these words with Game On and Samuel Gimes.
And now these messages. It's a Radio Shack Merry Christmas.
This year, I needed to give a real family pleaser.
Honey, please help me with this budget.
How about a new game, Dad? Please.
And I found it. Radio Shack's Color Computer 2. On sale for just $99.95. It entertains, educates, manages. It's expandable and affordable. Now that really pleases me.
The Color Computer 2. Sale priced for Christmas. Only at Radio Shack.
Hi, I'm Kieran Anscombe, author of XRAW, and your brain is resolving sensory input into CoCoTALK.
At Gsoft, we make games for the TRS-80 Color Computer, TRS-80 MC10, and Dragon computers. Our basic games cover the range of genres from arcade, to text adventures, to simulations, to 3D dungeon crawls. This is our latest puzzle game from Japan, Fruit Panic. So come on and drop by our website and download our latest games.
Tired of switching your joystick between the left and right port? Want to change between different controllers? Well, Joey has got you covered. The Joey Controller Switch. Take control of your controllers with the flip of 2 switches. Order today at cocoman.biz. And now, CoCo Thoughts by Samuel Gimes. Legend says, when the moon is full, if you go out in the country by the lake and whisper the name of Nick Marotta 3 times, his spirit will appear and he will grant you a product idea.
Radio Shack has a great gift idea for the whole family. Fast action TV games, and they're on sale. Get this 6-game model for $29.95 or the 4-game model for $21.95. With rising entertainment costs, that's a real bargain. You play hockey, tennis, squash, and more. Easy to hook up and great family fun that lasts all year long. The sale price TV games. Only at Radio Shack, a Tandy company.
Hi, I'm Terry Steen, author of Balloon Fire and other amazing games on the color computer. And you're listening to Stevie Stroh on CoCoTALK.
And now, CoCo Thoughts by Samuel Gimes.
Well, I'm a stocky short ranger. I live the life of danger, shooting enemies and jumping high. Attack the chamber of Pasha. I'm just glad there is no lava. Avoid floating urns and roving eyes. I got all the keys at number 10. The acid chamber I go then to enemies who didn't know my fame. Get treasure chests, shoot demon heads. I'll never stop till they are dead. Got nothing to lose and all to gain. Hey, you're all stocky, short ranger. You'll live lives of danger. Play a game on and follow it till the end. If you reach number 1, you'll mock Bucko, wins for fun, and go next to Tasman and his friends.
Oh, Lord. That was quite I don't know the song, if that was a parody, but it was a great production and a great effort there by Samuel Gimes.
And Samuel Gimes is getting personal.
Shade, yeah.
Name dropping.
Thank you, Mr. Gimes. Ron Delvaux, what'd you think of that song? Oh, Ron's not here today. Good job, Samuel Gimes. Thank you ever so much. Now here comes Nick Marotta's favorite part, where his name is mentioned prominently and often.
High Score Challenge with Nick Marotta.
All right, and welcome to another week of results. This week we played Danger Ranger with 20 scores submitted. Ken Reichard, 28. Mr. Dave, 34.
Is it a low-scoring game?
Mark B, 46. C. Duris, 102. Gary M, 239. Henry Nonick, 288. Rich N, 569. Terry Steen, 603. Paul Shoemaker, 709. Canadian Retro Thing, 726. Jim Rye, 776. Sloopy Malibu, 852. Tom C, 917. Me, 943. Buck Owens, 1,271. Tasman, 1,452. L. Curtis Boyle, 1,476. David Craker, 1,509.
Nice.
Cat Lord, 1,553. And the number one score this week belongs to Kieran with
oh my goodness,
1,176.
We have a new winner.
Thank you for another great week, and thank you for all the submissions.
Winner, chicken dinner, Karen, author of X-Roar. Awesome. Congratulations.
And Dungeons.
And yeah, in Dungeons, yes.
So yes, it is a very low-scoring game. Some of the enemies are only worth like 1 point.
Wow.
So let me just get the sharing going here.
Okay, I'll stop my share.
All right. So it should be sharing now.
It's not showing up yet, but here we go. There we go.
All right. So Curtis sent me this ad. There was not a whole lot of information on Danger Ranger. I didn't find any scores or anything, at least in Rainbow. But yeah, this was an ad that Curtis sent to me from Rainbow.
It was a full page ad.
Yeah, so I'm surprised it didn't
What's
get a review.
blue and red, about an inch tall, and able to keep across a CoCo computer video display in a single bound and descend into
Inky,
Winky, and Stinky
out to pasture.
Out to pasture. Wow, okay. Danger Ranger, the newest character from Screenplay. That's who. Danger isn't a clone of some moldy arcade game. It's the taking video game that you've ever seen. It's faster, more challenging, and more fun. Okay, very cool. $25 off of cassette. Not bad.
So once again, we got some. See, this menu goes away.
I don't remember the name Screenplay as far as.
Screenplay is what
publisher.
Med Systems became. Med Systems, where Ken Kalish did Invaders Revenge and
and
Phantom Slayer.
Name change.
Yeah, I think I put it out to you too, Nick. I think I pointed out that that ad from Rainbow, which is from '83, I can't remember the month off the top of my head, but actually they just literally changed the name when they submitted the ad. So if you look in the advertiser's index, it's still listed as Med Systems, but the ad actually had screenplay. Sorry, go ahead.
So this gameplay is by Canadian Retro Things again, who thought this was an okay game, not one of his favorites. And it got some mixed reviews among people playing. One of the things that people complain about, and I do agree, is the collision detection seemed very unforgiving. It seemed like it kind of extended a little bit beyond his body. So that I agree with. I felt like there were some hits there that were detected that I didn't really agree with either. But
yeah,
overall,
it's definitely not an easy game.
No, it's not. It's a very low scoring game. Like I said, those eyes are worth a point each.
Wow.
And there's only 4 digits in the score, so it's yeah. We tend to like the games that have higher scores for some reason. It makes us feel a little better. The point, that's why you have pinball that got to billions of points, because people liked having high scores. But yeah, so a very simple game. There are only the 2 screens, and I only made it to like the level 2 myself. I was like, I don't know, number 10 score or whatever. Didn't do particularly well, but it was a lot harder than I remember as a kid. So
it's
yeah,
pretty
each
interesting.
Time you go through a level, they add little bits to make it harder, like they'll add more acid drops, or the demon heads start taking 2 shots to kill. On the first screen, they add more bats, they add more of the roving eyes, and then they have those other roving eyes. I don't know what they're called, but the ones that go sideways, and those you can't shoot ducking, standing. You have to actually jump, but catch it at the right spot to shoot those, and that's incredibly hard. As I'm sure Kieran can attest to.
I found it to be a pretty. I didn't play it this week, but I played it before. I enjoyed it for just being a unique game. Ken Kalish, we were talking about this on Discord earlier this week. I mean, I can't think of a game he's made that I didn't like. He just seemed to have a really good knack for creating quality, enjoyable titles. And
that do sound effects.
Yeah, great sound effects.
Yeah, he's rather famous for that. And he tried to make almost all of his games fit in 16K. That was a mantra that he had.
Yeah. And since hopefully Steve's still here, I can't see the full panel, but last week Zaxxon was our game, and we had a great turnout. We had like 30 people playing it. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and we had 20 this week, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
It's this is a game that I thought a lot of people knew. I don't know if as many people knew about it as I thought did, but just because I had it as a kid, so I guess I assumed that everybody knew about it.
Right.
But I know you knew about it, Stevie.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's considered one of the iconic CoCo games or anything like that, or what do you think of when you think of the CoCo, but it's a pretty good game.
It was pretty popular on the Dragon in the UK too. And one thing I found out or forgotten about actually was this is one of the few games that was created on a CoCo first and then ported to like a Commodore 64 and Atari. So there's versions of this game for those platforms as well that came out in 84 and 85, I believe.
Oh, that's interesting. I also noticed 2 Kieran scores were used P mode 3, so I guess that was the Dragon used to P mode 3.
Yeah, because they didn't have artifact color, so it just looked like a bunch of white stripes.
Yeah. Were we able to run this one in P mode 3 on a CoCo with the keys? Does anybody know? Some games you could hit clear, right? And it would run it in P mode 3. I don't know if this one did that.
I don't know if it did or not. Because I think the Dragon version just defaulted to P mode 3. Karen would have to answer that. I haven't played the Dragon version.
Yeah. So not a whole lot to say about this game. It's a pretty simple game, 2 levels, and pretty straightforward gameplay. So I don't know if there's much more to talk about with this one.
Well, yeah, I'll mention a few strategies. On the second screen we're just seeing now with the demon heads here, you can get hit by the acid drops, like you said, from the rather wide-ranging hit detection. So one trick I found out back in the day and used when I did my score is that when you're coming to the edge where you're about to get the treasure chest, you have to drop down to get it, is to actually jump towards the right. On the right hand side, jump towards the left on the left hand side, so that you'll jump out of the way of the acid drops as you fall. So if an acid drop's coming up at you, it will not hit you.
Right.
But if you just fall, you'll get hit every time. So that's one thing. Also on this one here, you can shoot the acid drops. Like the acid drops basically just wrap the screen, so they're in fixed patterns basically. But if you shoot them, they respawn at the beginning, so you can rejigger the where they are each in their tracks, so that you can actually change it, so it's a bit easier to navigate these screens.
Yes.
And also on later levels on the first screen with the elevator, where that if you miss some of the keys coming down and you have to come back up, you can hop on that little elevator platform that shoots you back to the top. But the roving eyes on the sides go absolutely bonkers on later levels and just let out a stream of fire at you. So it's a bit risky.
I contemplated milking the first level for points, but 1 point per eye would have taken years to.
If you like your milk by the drop, then go ahead.
Exactly.
I got 5,000 points. Only took me 72 hours.
Exactly.
Yeah, but the difficulty is actually
before dinner.
Pretty difficult to start with, and it ramps up pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got 2 of the laser beaming things shooting at you now.
And you see, now you got 2 bats in the bottom, and then, yeah.
I think the collision detection should have been jiggered a bit. I think it was a little bit too unforgiving, but
yeah. Back in the day, I just got used to that. You just play the game a few times, you kind of figure it out. But yeah, I agree. Like visually, it doesn't look right. Like, how did I die? Type thing.
Yeah.
But the only strategy I have for this one here is that basically I just, as soon as those roving eyes come down, whether there's 2 or 4, I just mow them down as quick as I can, because then you have that breather while they're sinking to the bottom.
Yeah.
And then you can just worry about bats and keys for a while. But if you spread it out, so you kill 1 or 2 and then you go down a level and then kill another 1 or 2 on the other side, well, then you're getting a constant stream of them. You don't get that break. So that's one technique on this particular screen.
And those eyes, one shoots low and one shoots high.
Yeah. So you can dodge their shots by ducking or jumping.
Yeah.
You can also shoot their shots. That's one nice thing, too. If you actually line it up properly, you can shoot their shot to stop it.
Yes. And I believe their shots kill the bat. I think I saw that happen at least one time anyway.
Yeah, they can occasionally kill the bats, too. They can actually help you.
Yeah.
It looks like Ken's doing a pretty good job here.
Yeah.
Die, eyeball.
I'd love to see Kieran's game because he got to level 4, and I haven't been to level 4 since I was young. I didn't make it this time.
That was a long time ago, Curtis.
Yeah, I don't think he...
oh, he just hit the elevator.
Nick Marotta was born yet. So.
I don't think he... Oh, I forgot what I was going to say.
You don't think he submitted? You don't think he recorded?
I don't think he submitted a video.
Yeah.
Right? Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Lost my train of thought.
It's a unique game. I will say that. I mean, it has been ported to a couple of platforms. I actually have asked a couple of the Amigos guys because Flack, Rob O'Hara on there, he actually has the Commodore 64 version, and he remembers playing it back in the day too. So I mentioned, because he's got a C64 show called Spritecast, I suggested that maybe you could try that one, because I'd like to see what these other ones look like. I've seen screenshots, but I've never played them.
I'm going to take a wild guess and say that maybe it uses the SID chip.
Yeah, I imagine the sound's a little bit better. Though, to be honest, the sound on this one's not that bad.
Nah.
No, the
Ken
sound
was
is
pretty good at doing
good.
sound.
Yeah.
And the Atari 8-bit version, I would like to see that one too, because I've never seen that one in action.
And Karen just responded and said he did not record it, his gameplay.
Well, if he ever does decide to record one, because I think X4 supports screen recording, doesn't it? Or actually, probably get the host also to do it anyway. I'd love to see what, obviously he's pretty good at it because he got multiple scores pretty high. I'd like to see what the level 4 differences are.
All right. Are we ready to move on?
Yes, I think so. Yeah. Thank you, Nick. And the suspense is killing us. What game will we be playing now?
All right. Well, next week's game is a request, and it's so obscure that it's not on Curtis's page.
That doesn't mean it's obscure. That just means I'm really behind.
It's actually a game that was an arcade game to support, and it's one that I had no idea it was on the CoCo until 60 pointed it out to me. So it is...
Oh, Mooncrest, yeah.
Mooncrest.
There was
a Dragon original.
Is this official, or is it just a clone?
It's called Mooncrest. I don't know if
Here, Karen can just let me know for sure, but from what I understand, in the UK, because international copyrights weren't really fully defined yet, there was a lot, like the Spectrum is famous for having a lot of ports of games that were actually named after the original arcade game and had nothing to do with licensing or anything else. They were just clones. But they were done, under the official name. So I don't know if this falls under that category or not. I'll have to let Kieran answer that one.
So it's by John Martin, Incentive Limited, in 1986. So it's a pretty late game for as far as the CoCo 1 and 2 are concerned. So
yeah, as I mentioned, this was released in the Dragon first. Oh. I mean, we eventually got it. This was a Dragon release.
Sorry, gotcha. I missed you saying that. So okay. So so basically it's a space shooter. You shoot those things. I don't believe they fire back on you, at least on the first level. And then there's also a cool thing where you can dock your ships. So after clearing a couple levels of aliens, you can dock your ship. So your ship's in 3 parts. So on this screenshot, I lost the first part already. But if I had part 1, you dock part 1 and 2. And if you can keep those, you can dock all 3.
Some comments in the chat. 60 said, yes, it was an official licensed release. So that's cool. And Ken Record says that looks like a Star Spores ripoff, which is funny. And then Scott Cooper says, if you want to try out the higher levels like level 4, just hit 4 at the select level screen. So apparently you can start on the level if you want to see them all. Obviously, don't do that for the Game On challenge.
Right. For the game, I will start from level 1. But yeah, that's a good tip for if you want to see what the further levels look like. So thank you, 60, for the suggestion. Thanks, CRT, again, for the gameplay video this week. And thanks to all the scores, people who submitted scores this week. And we will see you next week.
Well, I have to ask what is hopefully a dumb question, or maybe it's not a question that's going to get us into the gray area of legalities, but where would one obtain this? Is it on the same usual place that other things are obtained from? Okay. Because, like I said, we haven't heard of this one before.
Check for Cresta.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the advantages, this is like the Galaga, where if you dock 2 ships together, you get more firepower. That's the real goal here.
Right. Yeah, and you have up to 3 stages, right? So that's pretty cool.
So you have to give the ship thrust. Like you give it with a button, it gives it some thrust, and then you gotta float it down gently onto the bottom ship.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I really like that in the arcade too. So when I heard it was a CoCo version, I was very surprised to see where Stevie. So
yeah.
Well, back in the day when this game came out in the arcade, multiple companies were selling it. So you had different ones from different manufacturers.
I remember it being fairly popular, but I didn't realize it was actually manufactured by different companies.
Did you know the game existed, Curtis, on the CoCo?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I've played it before. When I was starting to get some of the Dragon stuff to organize, there was a whole bunch of Dragon ports that I was going through, which I've got some rough notes and stuff made for the games page, which I actually have been updating a little bit the last few weeks.
Okay.
But, I'm still way behind.
All right. Well, how about we go ahead and close out Game On with the Game On news, and then we'll take a break, and we'll come back with updates and acquisitions. So
But before you do, I want one other comment from 60 here, which is actually pretty interesting. I didn't know this. It said there was a nationwide cross-platform competition on Moon Cresta, which a Dragon user won, and the winner got the actual arcade cabinet.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. That is very cool.
That's a good contest.
That's like a 3,000. That was like an arcade cabinet back then. It was like $3,000 or something, right? Or whatever it was. It was a lot of money. It's a lot of money in 80s money. So how about we close out Game On with Game On news, Curtis, and we'll take a break, and then we'll come back with updates and acquisitions.
Screen here. Okay, you guys seen that?
Sir, yes, sir.
Okay, so speaking of gaming stuff here, Erico has, of course, been doing this fighting game in semi-graphics, and he's done a couple little updates he's got here. So the first one is just showing some of the tweaking and dirty pixel manipulation. He did a little GIF here to kind of show.
That's pretty cool.
And I think the top bars is kind of just registering with the center, where the character is being mapped, because of course on semi-graphics you have to do every 2 pixels wide has to be the same color and black, which makes manipulating this mode particularly difficult. So what Erico's done with it is just amazing.
Absolutely.
And he's got this other one here where he's actually done an actual demo of some of the moves you can do. He didn't explain like what joystick manipulations you have to do each of these moves, but there's jumps and kicks and all kinds of stuff. So I'll let that little GIF play here.
Looks like he's got moves like Jagger.
You duck.
Yeah. Whoota! Jump. Yeah. The animation cycles are really great. You get the feeling of, he's like, very slowly, gracefully moving through the air.
Yeah, and to pull that off in semi-graphics is just amazing.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if he's doing this all in BASIC still, too.
Judging by the background screen, which says run, yep.
Yeah. So that's impressive too.
Yeah. I mean, if you use strings as opposed to set reset's quite slow.
Oh yeah,
if
no,
you use
yeah.
the strings, it's you can get it going pretty quick. But
and then on
still
MC10, you can actually bake the semi-graphic strings into the quotes.
Yeah, just like the old Commodore PET and the well, various actually other.
That's actually something I'm hoping I can try when I start using Eric Canales' editor. I'm wondering if I could do like the Alt command. Remember how you could do like Alt 128 to enter in a character that you couldn't type? I'm wondering if I could. DOS, I'm wondering if I can do some of that in the editor to get some of the semi-graphics characters in quotes, and then have that transcend over to the CoCo. That would be kind of cool. So I haven't tried that yet, but that popped into my head as a thing to try.
No.
Yeah, very smooth. I mean, it's very minimalist, but I feel like for the pixels you're getting, you're not well, what is that? Is that an arm? Is that a leg? Yeah, you know what it is. You know what it's doing, and it's achieving its objective of looking like a person doing stuff, which is really cool.
And we've seen before in some previous, stuff that he's demoed here, like some of the backgrounds he's got like sunsets and buildings and stuff like.
And I think it was maybe Nick Merentes or somebody who was saying like if you use one of these lower resolution modes, you can just make a bigger world and have it pan through that world. So you don't have to try to get everything in screen. Just make it all to scale and make it panable. And so that also gives you the illusion of you working in a bigger world where this might have been all fit in one screen, but it actually takes up, like 8x8 CoCo tech screens. But as you pan through them, you feel like you're covering more space, Yeah,
I mean, since each CoCo tech screen is only half a K for the whole thing. I mean, even if you don't compress it, you get lots of room.
Yeah,
that's
neat.
Very impressive.
Good job. Yeah, Erico continues to impress and amaze with what he can do in limited pixels. Yeah.
He's a genius at it.
Yeah, he's an artisan.
An artiste.
Acey Duecey.
Yeah, so Jim Gerrie, of course, because
that was a dice game or something, right?
Yes, I believe it is. Or is it a card game?
Card game or a dice game? Yeah,
I think it's a card game. So anyway, this is another one of his entries for the 10-liner basic contest that's currently going on, and it's based on the game by Bill Pomby from 1978, as you can see on his remarks there. So he cheats, past the 10 lines of actual code, he puts the rems in.
Okay.
That doesn't count against you in the contest.
Okay.
So play here. And it's a game where 2 cards are dealt, and then you bet if you think the third card dealt will be between the first 2 or not.
Ah.
And you've got your suits, and then you've got the little number or character, like a 3 and a queen. Or king.
Yeah, there's nothing between king and ace. Oh, that's neat.
That's a pretty simple game.
Yeah.
So, 10 lines.
Yeah, and to get getting these graphics in here. Here you can kind of see the kind of semi-graphics aliasing here because you can't mix red and white, right? So like these hearts, you can't have a white border around the heart. So yeah.
Yeah, the only way around that is if you made the screen background black, and then you could kind of.
Yeah. No, but it looks good. Again, it's like you know what the shape is. There's no confusion here. You got your hearts, your spades, your diamonds, clubs. Yeah. Good job, Jim.
And the second one is not a 10-liner. So this one here is an update to his port of Tim Hartnell's chess. So he has done this before. So he's added the ability for the game to play against itself. So it has a built-in demo mode now. Now, he does warn you that A, it is not particularly good, and 2, this still has some bugs.
Okay. I love full transparency when you're commenting on your code. It's not good, and it's kind of buggy. Other than that...
Honesty.
Yeah. Truth in advertising.
I know some people say that about Nitrous 9, too, so for ease of use. So.
Yeah, so I'm assuming P is pawn, R is rook, right? King, knight.
N is knight, I think.
Yeah, N is knight, right?
For king. And
your, what was the other one? Bishop.
Queen.
Oh.
And it uses the inverted characters for your opponents. You can kind of tell the letters apart, etc. So, and here it is playing itself. So this is showing the actual self-running demo.
I remember Tim Hartnell had some books for a lot of them for the ZX81.
Well, he did books actually even before they became Machine Pacific, when they were still doing the generic, basic programs for every machine out there right now. So.
Terry Steen says he has to go, but he also said it's good to see. He said it was good to see Steve Bjork again. So Terry, if you still caught us, thanks for stopping by. Yeah, it looks neat.
Next up, I just wanted to mention that Cuthbert Dragon. I'm not going to play a lot of the videos now because we've seen some of this stuff before. He's been kind of retooling the way he does his videos, where he does like a long play, and then sometimes does these combo packs too. So he did Cranky, which is an educational game by itself. Airball, he just did a very brief one up to the temple. But Backtrack, you remember that kind of 3D top view game where you have to go through the maze and you have to avoid getting eaten by snakes and stuff? He actually did a 3-part thing and actually solved it all the way through the 5-key stage. So he's actually won the game outright.
Wow.
So that was kind of neat. And then he's got a little triple deck here because it was Star Spores, coincidentally enough. Cavern of Doom, which is an adventure game, and Demon Seed, of course, which we know is a clone of Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
But in the UK, those were sold as bargain games for only $4.99.
Wow.
£4.99. So that he did as kind of the, so the cheaper. It wasn't the cheapest ones, but it was like lower than normal.
With rising entertainment costs.
In North America.
Yeah.
Because that would have been, at that time, 12, 15?
Yeah, that thing back in there was like 2 to 1, so.
So, I mean, those, like Demon Seed in particular, I know was $20, $25 here, so it was actually cheaper to buy them in the UK. Maybe not with shipping. And he just put this one up here, literally, like you can see just this morning here.
Cuthbert Triple Feature.
Which I haven't looked at yet, but I think I've seen him play all the Cuthbert games before, so.
Neat. I noticed Frodo streaming too, as well. When I opened up the CoCoTALK Twitch page, he was on it. So.
Yeah, he was streaming the first year's worth of Atari Lynx games earlier today.
Oh, neat. Yeah, some of them were looking pretty cool.
Now, this is one Nick Merentes pointed out to me I hadn't seen before. So this is a channel called The Laird's Lair. And one of the subsections, like he does a lot of retro games for various systems. One of the things he does is a thing called Foreplay, where he takes the same game and then he shows 4 different machines running a version of it.
Side by side?
In this case, sorry?
Is it like side by side, like a multi-view? Or...
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then you'll see the speaker icon, so he'll switch the sound. So
you
can actually hear what each version sounds
gotcha.
Like
Oh, that's really neat.
Yeah, it's a really cool idea.
Pop it up. Let's
now,
see this.
In this case here, I think he thought that the Berserk, which is the Mark Data Products one, was the official one, because he does official arcade adaptations.
Yeah.
Now, Mark Data Products was not official because it has an S instead of a Z.
Yeah.
Z.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also he's playing the Dragon version. So in this case, it's no artifacting color, so it's all the grayscale.
Okay.
So, what did you want to just hear the?
I'd like to see it. I'd like to see some of the different versions, what they look like.
So these are just showing the splash screens between them. The Commodores is quite unique. They did a
looks
little
like a comic book or something. Yeah.
So fast forward a bit.
The Dragon version was available on a card. I used to have it.
There's the background music for the Commodore one.
Yeah, sounds just like the arcade did. Not.
No background music at all.
That's just the Commodore showing off its SID chip.
Yeah. There's the Dragon. Awesome sound on the intro screen there, just like the Atari. And the Spectrum, same thing.
Yeah. Does it have gameplay? I want to see some of the gameplay.
Oh, is that loud enough?
Yeah. The Atari sounds pretty accurate.
Well, it sounds exactly like the Atari 2600 version. This is the Atari 400, 800, of course, but it was basically the same sound chip. So.
Oh, who got the voice? Was that the Atari doing that?
Yep.
Oh, wow, that's impressive. The digitized voice was really good.
They did digitized voice on the Apple with just 1 bit. It's rough, but you could hear stuff.
Now, ironically enough, the version he picked here, Berserk Mark Added, which is a 16K one, never had voice stuff. But Android Attack from Spectral Associates, which had both 16K and 32K versions, if you had the 32K version, did have digitized speech. So he could have picked one that on the CoCo that did, or the Dragon for that matter, but chose not to.
Yeah, the sounds on Berserk were not impressive, but the visuals were.
Yeah.
Like the Running Man looked really good. Very smooth.
Let's fast forward till we get some sound from the C64.
Accessing disk. Yeah, it's an impressive title screen. Yeah, C64 voice sounds good.
Yeah. The firing sound is bad.
Weird.
Honestly. Explosions are good and stuff, but the firing sound was an odd choice. But the voice they did really well.
Yeah, really good.
Fast forward to the dragon. Now he apparently wasn't very good at playing the dragon version for some reason. He just kept running, away from.
Yeah.
Occasionally he shoots and kills somebody. Now I think, if I remember correctly, because of the PAL versus NTSC thing, the 50 versus 60 Hz, I think the dragon version actually plays at a slightly different pitch than the CoCo version did.
Okay, I've seen enough. That was neat though.
The Spectrum one is, I think, using character graphics because it doesn't even move very smoothly. It like jumps an entire character cell.
Oh, okay.
And the sound is very minimal. Like it doesn't even make sounds for firing and stuff. There's some sounds when you finish, or you die, or finish a level type thing. But
yeah, I can see. Yeah, they are very like blocky. How they move from grid to grid. Yeah.
Yeah, and they do sound for scrolling the screen, but not for shooting or killing.
Ah, yeah, that's good. It sounded like birds chirping outside. Cool.
Anyway, he's done multiple ones of these 4 ones, and like I said, had not seen this channel before, and I think he's done 1 or 2 other ones with Dragon. I'll have to hunt them down, and maybe we can take a look at them in a future episode, because it's a nice concept of actually seeing them like side by side like this. That way you could pick some better, better CoCo one if you want to show up voice, etc.
Yeah. Very cool.
I'll keep an eye out on his page.
Yeah, you know how like we talk about how we're disappointed that most games that use the speech sound pack only use speech and they didn't use music, but a Berserk clone on the speech sound pack would have been a perfect use of the speech sound pack because that is the freaking Cylon robot voice, So
yeah,
and it would have taken no CPU to do it,
And I'm surprised that Spectral didn't do that. They could have taken Android Attack, the 16K version, and converted it for the speech sound.
Yeah, it might have been timing, and maybe it wasn't out at that time or something,
Yeah, because they did convert almost every one of their games at some point. Like Froggy, they added voice and stuff that really didn't need it. But they never did that with Android Attack, as far as I know.
Okay, cool.
The last game on News Story.
Dun, 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 dun.
David F. Gisbert, not sure I pronounced that. But he created a poll. He said, "What games do you like the most for the Beloved Dragon?" This is the Dragon Facebook group. You can choose ones that he had to put on there or add your own. And there's, I think, 38 entries so far.
Did anybody pick Cosmic Aliens? That is available on the Dragon.
So
Shock
the top
Trooper.
3 are Chucky Egg, 29 votes, Manic Miner, 21, and Donkey King at 16 as of this morning when I loaded the page up.
Okay.
And then... So Chucky Egg was a Dragon release, Manic Miner was a Dragon release, Donkey King was a CoCo release originally, Jet Set Willy was a Dragon release originally, Buzzard Bait was a CoCo release. So it was a nice mixture of
yeah.
whether it was CoCo
Frogger, Lunar Rover Patrol, Shock Trooper, Berserk, Rommel's Revenge. Yeah, a lot of good choices there.
Yeah, Screaming Abdabs.
That's the game. Syzygy? Because we were talking about lightsabers, and I said, there's a game with Darth Vader and a lightsaber, and it was Syzygy. Yeah, that's the one. Because I know Ben Drakes had showed that one off. At the end, Darth Vader comes out the lightsaber, and like he'll cut you, and the screen bleeds and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and actually, if I remember correctly, wasn't that the original proposed name for Atari that Nolan Bushnell was going to use?
Syzygy?
Yeah, I believe it was.
Oh.
Yes, it was.
It's very difficult to pronounce.
It was originally to be the name for Atari, and then then it was found that someone else used it, and it's pronounced Syzygy.
Syzygy.
Yeah, and it's a space reference, isn't it? It's some sort of distance from Earth for a certain effect to happen, or something. I can't remember the exact details.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact meaning off the top of my head.
I think it's the distance away from Earth you have to travel before the CoCoTALK panel starts to look tolerable.
Wow, that's a big number.
Yes.
Do numbers go that big?
You're going to need floating point for that.
Uh-huh. Cool. Very cool.
Wait, if any of you have dragons, because I assume this works with NTSC 10 on dragons as well. If you guys want to go participate, if you're in the Dragon Facebook group, go put in your own votes too. I'd like to get some perspective. I mean, most of this would be European centric, of course, but it'd be interesting to see if there's a difference between North American fans versus the non.
Okay.
And that's it for.
Thank you for. Yeah, sorry, Jay.
Just for interest of education, definition is the nearly straight line configuration of 3 celestial bodies, such as the sun, moon, and earth, during a solar or lunar eclipse in a gravitational system.
Oh, okay.
That's what it says, at least on this page anyway. Merriam-Webster, so that's pretty reputable.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to take a commercial break, and then we're going to be back with project updates and acquisitions because Brian Wiesler's got some stuff to show. He might not be able to stay too late, so we're going to bring that segment forward. I know he's probably got about an hour's worth of things to show us. And then we will do news after updates and acquisitions. So we'll be back with more CoCo Talk after these words. And we are going to do a little Fletcher. We'll be back after Fletcher.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Fletcher, I don't need that report tomorrow.
Great, JT.
I need it tonight.
But JT...
Fletcher saved $300 on her office away from the office. Radio Shack's revolutionary Model 100 computer. It's a word processor, phone directory, and dialer. It even communicates with the office computer.
Fletcher, how's that report? Fletcher.
Radio Shack's Model 100. Save $300 and put it to work.
You'll go far, Fletcher. You'll go far.
And now, CoCo Thoughts by Samuel Gimes. On holidays, Uncle JT would entertain us with stories of his business conquests and his assistant who would meet any deadline that he imposed, no matter how ridiculous. Well, until she shot him in the face, that is.
Hi, this is the award-winning Alan Huffman of Subbeat the Software, and you're watching Stevie Fall Off Cliffs.
What's going on, guys? Stevie Stroh here, and I want to say thank you so much for being part of this adventure with us. It's been such a great experience in doing CoCo Talk every week, and the support we get is just amazing. And so the fact that you watch and listen is all the reward that we need. However, if you would like to become a patron of the show and offer some financial assistance towards the production and hosting costs of the show, we do have a Patreon site available for that, and you can reach that by going to our website at CoCoTalk.live and clicking on the Patreon link. But just do us a favor and watch and listen to the show.
Hey there, I'm Marco Roser, and you're watching CoCo Talk.
This is not the Joey cereal switch. This is the Joey cereal switch. Control up to 3 cereal devices. Order yours today at cocoman.biz.
Radio Shack, America's technology store.
Right!
This Christmas, Tandy has a very special offer. A family color computer pack to take away at a very special price. This family computer comes complete with software and costs an incredible $449, a saving of $241.69. It's powerful, educational, and ideal for the young and young at heart. The easy way to start computing. The Color Computer Family Pack from Tandy. Get it while it's hot. Tandy, the biggest electronics store in Australia.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Tim. Playing Daggerith like that idiot from the book. You're watching CoCo Talk.
I was going to say, he's asleep.
Yeah, I just woke up. That was a Tandy. Oh, I won't say it.
Well, we're back, folks. We are back. And it is time for everyone's favorite part of the show. Updates and acquisitions. This is where we get to see how much Brian Wiesler has and how much we hate him for it. But before we get to Brian Wiesler, does anybody else have any updates or acquisitions? Anybody been working on a project? Did I see Jason Reichard wave his hand? All right, Jason, you won't take nearly as long as Brian Wiesler will, so we'll go ahead and let you.
Right. It won't be nearly as long. Actually, I think Brian Wiesler is going to be part of the 2-part episode. But there was a fellow on the CoCo mailing list, and I apologize, I don't remember the fellow's name at this very moment, but he had put out a post. You know, I got some extras. I'm just going to give them away for just the cost of postage, and I saw a couple things on there that I wanted to get. I got, I already had the cartridge for color cubes, but now I have the manual.
Nice.
I had gotten the cartridge, I believe, at the video game store after Tandy Assembly 2018. And but not only did I get that, and this nice manual here for a Rubik's Cube that I'll probably never solve, but it's cool to have the manual. But it also came with it also had the overlay.
Oh wow!
For the CoCo One type keyboard. But so I thought that was really cool. And finally, another cartridge that I had but didn't have the manual for. I think it was probably around the same time I got it. Bridge tutor.
Oh.
So I guess if I want to build a bridge,
now you know how.
This will work out great. And it was just, he just said, just the cost of postage. So that was really cool. And so this just completes a little more of my collection. And that's it. That's just like a blink of the eye as far as the other ones go.
Okay,
that's
so
it.
Tom Eric Gunderson is saying, how do you get on the CoCo mailing list? It is an email thing. What is it? maltedmedia.com?
I believe
Dennis
so.
Batheroy Kit. So
we can put the link in chat here in a moment.
Yeah, somebody will find it and put it in chat.
Pair.net.
Yeah, we'll get that out in chat for you.
Okay. And then that is one of the plethora of different ways you can communicate with people in the CoCo community. Very, very cool. Thank you, Jason Reichert. I know we have Brian Wiesler. Does anybody else have anything else they want to show and tell this week? Alan Murphy is raising his hands very politely.
Yeah, just a short thing. I got a shipment from the Cylon Homeworld. My Mega Mini MPI has arrived. And so I'm now adding a Mega Mini MPI sound driver to, and there'll be some example code for that here shortly.
Oh. Very cool. Sixy mentions he just acquired a 128K Dragon as of just before the show started. Oh, very cool. And it looks like we just posted the link to get to the CoCo mailing list. Thank you for doing that. Who else besides Brian Wiesler?
I do.
I do. Oh, yeah. All right.
Okay, Sloopy. Hang on, Sloopy. I'm going to spotlight you. Go ahead.
All right. As you know, last week I got a CoCo SDC, and I got it without cartridge. So I went looking at different cartridges and decided to get one. Well, instead of an actual specific cartridge, I got this instead.
I think that's called overkill.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to fit in there very well, especially with that thing moving around.
Yeah.
No.
But you can print your own, though, can't you? Is that a printer?
Yes, Nick.
Yeah, well, he did get a cartridge then. He just has to print it.
Yeah, I'm just making a silly joke as usual, Nick.
Some assembly required.
Yeah, that looks like a strange shape for a cartridge that you're making there.
Hey, I got to keep the little lady happy, so. But yeah,
there's pills for that.
That's not a Steelers logo.
Yeah, give it time. But yeah, I got that, and then I also got a box in the mail, and it showed up looking like this.
Chocolates? Yummy.
Okay, it looks a little warped and
a little lumpy
and very heavily taped.
Yes, it. Yeah, I got it on an eBay auction, and the person said, "Oh, I've got the perfect box, and I'll pack it great." So I was like,
Perfect box for what?
Well,
not for whatever's in there, I think.
Nope. But what was in there is.
Is that what we're looking at now?
Right here.
The CoCo, that's the CoCo 2.
Nice CoCo 2. And in addition to that, let's see here. Give me 1 second.
Time's up.
I also got these with it.
Oh, nice. Getting started. Oh, CCR 81 operations manual. Those things are very complicated to operate, so I'm glad they did give us manuals.
Yeah, well, it's just
Especially
just the manual.
Yeah.
Especially that tricky play button. You got to
Yeah.
really watch out for that
Yeah.
one.
I always had a hard time figuring out that you couldn't just press record to record. The whole fact you had to press play and record always tripped me up. So
Yeah. So, but yep, that was my acquisitions for this week, and that's it.
Okay.
I have.
Thank you for sharing.
I've got some project update BS.
Yeah.
So.
I just need to, because I was buying this one hoping that it was a 2-ROM model of CoCo 2, and nope, it's not.
Okay, Nick Merentes, go ahead. You want to update us?
Okay, well, let's see. I might, as everyone knows, I'm working on that new game, but also as a side project, because I tend to do that. I'm also working on the MP3 cartridge with Jim Brain, which I'll just turn my camera on so I can hopefully show something. So if this thing comes on, is my video come up now?
Your video's up.
See your mouse.
See your mouse.
All right. So
See your hairy knuckles.
That's it. Yep.
I thought that's your screen name, right? Harry Knuckles.
That's right. So that's it. So that's the MP3 cartridge that we're working on with Jim.
Okay.
And as I mentioned in a previous episode, it has it plays MP3 files. It has a dual 8-bit DAC to do Orchestra 90, and also it has 512K of flash memory as well. So the idea being is that you could put a game onto the cartridge that could also use the MP3, the Orchestra 90. So what I've been working on, my latest project, part of, is writing the software to get the flash memory working. So this is the prototype board, and the flash RAM's not working on this at the moment. But I do have one of Jim Brain's flash cards, which is what this flash memory is based on. So I have that plugged into my CoCo, and I've written some software that allows you to manage the flash software.
Okay.
So I'm just going to point the camera at the CoCo, and I'll just make it quick. But basically, the software that you run allows you to set whatever blocks in the CoCo 3, which is shown by this area in the middle. You highlight the blocks that your program uses, and you just go sort of, toggle the blocks that your program needs to load, like so. You would enter the name of the project of the ROM. So I just call this test, say, which is what it was, and you can put an exec address for that program, and then you select a position with the arrow up here. You select the position in the 512K of ROM where you want to write your code. Now, originally when I wrote it, it was to write one game into the ROM, but then I found that in most cases a program doesn't use an entire 512, so it's been modified so that it actually supports multiple ROMs. And in the little graphic display at the top there, it shows you the different the green area on that bar indicates a ROM that's not used. The red area is the parts that are used. So I've got 2 games in the ROM at the moment, and I can point with this program. I can point to it, read the file in. It'll read in the data off the ROM chip, and it tells me its Gunstar, its exec address, and they're the blocks it uses. And I can go to the other block, read that in, and that's Popstar Pilot, and with its exec and the blocks it uses. So once you've set that up, you can then burn it, and it shows you on the graph. The idea of this program then is this is for managing or creating the ROMs on that MP3 card. Once you've done that, you would then, and I'll just go back and
show you the boot program. This is the program that will be on the ROM cartridge when it boots. So when it boots, it will automatically come up with a menu. So a cartridge on its own, no disk drive, nothing, just plug the cartridge in and it comes up with a cartridge menu. And it scans the flash ROM, sees, in this case, Popstar Pilot, Gunstar, and there's a utility for managing some of the memory as well. I haven't got that working. And you just basically press 1, 2, or it'll handle up to 7 programs. So you can write up to 7 programs, depending on the size of the programs, of course. So pressing 1, it brings it up, and it loads it in from ROM. And
wow, that was fast too.
Well, it's coming off ROM now.
Yeah,
so
instead of
it's
off
not
the
loading.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a programmable
Oh
ROM,
man!
but it does have the MP3 in there. So Popstar Pilot doesn't support it, but Gunstar does. So it would then play the game with MP3 playback, and it also plays it in stereo using the dual DACs. But that's what I've been working on.
That
trying
is
to get
awesome.
The software to manage the flash ROM on the flash RAM card.
That is neat. So, hey, Nick, if you need any help getting that Popstar updated, I'm personal friends with the author of that game. I can put you in touch with him. So, yeah.
No, well, don't tell him. I copied this.
Now, I did want to mention that the nice thing about the way Nick is setting this up, and including the utilities and stuff that will come with the card, is that it doesn't have to be just his games. I'm sure he'd prefer that.
Do any games.
Right.
Yeah.
So
any other author that wants to support the MP3 card with the ORC90 DACs all built in, and it muxes those together so it actually plays both simultaneously, which if you do external stuff doesn't currently do that. You can add in your own games on there or distribute games that can be just on disk that you can then run this loader and copy them into there and put them onto this card, so you don't have to buy a new card every time you want to do
yeah. So what I was immediately thinking of while you were showing this, because I had imagined something similar to this. This is desperately needed for Jim Brain's CoCo Flash cartridge. Because
that's what I'm using at the moment. It runs on the CoCo Flash.
Oh, the CoCo Flash that's got the 8 megs worth of flash memory?
Oh, sorry. No, that must be another card. No, sorry.
Yeah, this is the half meg card I think you're using.
Okay. So the original CoCo Flash has 8 megs of flash memory. It's got an Orchestra 90 built on it. But the way you managed the banks was you had to run a program in BASIC and convert things and then copy things and do a bunch of crap, and then in the menu you had to write in BASIC and rewrite it every single time. I had imagined that there's got to be some way that you could have like a firmware utility where you could manage the banks and do stuff and then create a menu based on that. And so, because the CoCo Flash is a great thing, but it's not easy to manage. So if it's, and I know you've got things already on your plate to do, but it seems like you've already started this process. If you could eventually make a user-friendly way to flash to CoCo Flash, where we could put what we want on it and have it create a menu for us, that would be a holy grail for that product. Because I love the idea of the CoCo Flash. I don't want to deal with having to learn how to program to get stuff onto it,
Well, this program probably can be modified to do that. The program at the moment is set up to run on a CoCo 3, so it talks about it uses the CoCo 3 memory blocks, but it wouldn't be too hard to do a CoCo 1 and 2 version if we need it to be. Yeah.
Neat. That's really cool though. But seeing that run. Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Would that also work with the banks on the CoCo SDC? If you
no, it's a separate. No, that's different.
Okay, I was just curious whether or not that software could have been could incorporate that so that everything flows together if you've got multiple units there. So okay.
No, well this one's got. Well, this one I'm working on is got 512K of flash RAM.
Right.
The CoCo SDC, I don't know how much that has, but I don't think it has that much.
I think there's 8K banks or something like that.
Yeah.
64K. I think we've also got a great look into Nick Merentes' side hustle of hand modeling.
Van Guli.
And you get to see it before I shave.
Wasn't sure if that was maybe the name you were modeling under was Hairy Knuckles or not. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he'll be live streaming his hand waxing later on.
Rick Euland, did you have something to show?
Yeah, just a little bit. Let's see if I can take over the world here. And jump down here. I'll start with my cool new monitor. Check it out. Everything you need for camping. You've got
It's
an area
sun.
light, and you got a lantern to get you down the trail, and a television. So what more could you need for?
Is that a walkie-talkie there too, or is that just a?
Oh, that's my tape recorder.
Ah, okay, yeah.
He's just happy to see us.
Because I have to run that Mangle Pack thing just plug straight in because it's pretty much all the CoCo can take. But the news is, let's see, my project works. The stupid bodged together thing makes this thing actually work, and so I can. Oh,
As you have an Ethernet card.
This is the Ethernet card, and I was just about to get disappointed. Then I remembered if I'm going to connect on Telnet, I'm going to have to start Telnet D on my Raspberry Pi. So I did that, and life is good. And would you believe, here's our little Deck B sending ARP requests on the Ethernet.
Oh my
from
goodness.
Like 10 lines of basic code. So what a sweet thing. So now I've just got to get all my boards respun and
Wireshark. I haven't used that program in a while, but that's a great packet sniffer, right? So
it's great for letting you know if you're actually working or not.
Yeah.
And I called myself Dell 123 because a lot of my old work scripts look for Dell machines, so it's just easier to pretend to be a Dell. But yeah, I'm Dell 123 and I'm on the network now. I just need a Telnet client. That might take a
You need to work together with Brett Gordon and Jay Searle and write a driver for their game too, so you can use it with your card.
Right. Well, we're hoping to
Already planning on it.
On here, yeah, we've got Mr. Overhoser over there pulling away. So.
Sounds like Mr. Overholser is becoming Mr. Overachiever.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get him some energy drinks or something.
Yeah, cool.
So anyway, that's it for me, and supposedly I should be able to stop share somewhere.
I got it for you. Okay.
Sure.
All right, Brian Wiesler. We might have more people who want to show and tell, but we've postponed enough. Oh, this is weird now. I have the ability to add more than one person to the spotlight. That's interesting. All right. So right now you are the sole spotlight, Brian Wiesler.
Very good. I got some cassettes here. It's Dragon cassettes, and rather than flipping them all up there, I made a little slideshow, and so I will share screen one.
Will this slideshow have an intermission?
Possibly. Let's see here, and there we go. Is that coming through?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So this is just going to slide through. It's going to take about 4 minutes. It's just all the different cartridges.
Calixto, I know.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's just going to slide through here.
Music box. So these don't have the cool cover art yet. These are very generic. They're not terrible, but I'm used to the fancy, pretty Dragon cassettes.
Your patience will pay off.
Oh, spoiler alert. Okay. Quest.
So here's Quest.
That's Aardvark.
Number Gulper. Wow. Computer voice. Hide and seek. Personal finance.
So is this stuff you've collected over time, or was this one big order?
One big lot.
Final countdown. Great song. Triumph. Quest.
There is a couple duplicate cassettes in the group.
Quest. That one, the label typesetting was a little off.
Yes.
Mansion of Doom. Is the Mansion of Doom located inside the Forest of Doom by any chance? Dragon Mountain. Shark Treasure. Know that game?
That's a classic.
Yeah.
Did you buy this from someone in the UK or?
60 says, "Don't get excited by number Gulper." There's another quest.
Yeah. To Nick's question, Spain.
Okay, Dragon Mountain,
Spain.
Spain.
Right.
Number Gulper. You got a lot of those number gulpers, huh?
Yep.
Are you going to be selling off the ones that are dupes?
Madness in the Minotaur. Nice.
Yes, I will be.
Shaft. Great movie. We saw this one recently. Cuthbert Goes Walkabout by Microdeal. Okay, now we're switching brands. This is no longer Dragon brand. Air Traffic Control, Microdeal. Shuttle, Microdeal.
I think that's a Tom Mix one, if I remember.
Yeah. Rainbow Writer. 2 copies of Rainbow Writer.
Yeah, they were. I think they had some programs on them.
Air Traffic Control Simulator for Dragon 32. Ooh.
That was a Prickly Pear one originally, I think.
Composer. The Dragon
First
Composer.
4 voice music editors.
All right. Salamander Graphic Systems Maurice Minor.
There's like the Action Cave Fighter.
Yeah.
Those are kind of grouped together.
Peak Soft.
Yeah,
Tim loves cricket. Huh? Dragon Software. That was a little out of focus.
My camera wasn't doing well there.
Dragon.
These first 2 here, they have like 10 programs per cassette.
Ah, that's nice. Caterpillar Attack. Free sample. Wow. Munching Crunching. Cosmic Crusader. Imagine. The game of...
Cruiser, but yeah.
Fearless Freddy. Let's see, now we're getting into some artwork here. Yeah. Mind Out Dragon Games from Quicksilva. Bug Diver.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, I don't think I have either. Android Attack. 60's asking, did any of these come with inlays? Dragon Computer Software. Can't quite tell what that is. It looks like some type of music.
It's another music one, yeah. Yep.
All right, Dragon Software.
This has another 10 games on it.
10 games.
I don't remember what this one was.
Like a multi-tape, huh?
Yeah.
Pettigrew's Diary.
Yeah.
Sounds like an adventure game.
Lionheart. Android Attack. Talking Android Attack. 32K. Right. Shooter. Okay. Dream Bug. Disassembler. Monitor Debugger. Ooh, wow.
And it starts over again there.
Nice.
So, yep. So there we go.
Is this the intermission where we all go to the lobby and get ourselves popcorn and right. Let's all go to the lobby.
That's a neat haul. So you got all those in one purchase?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, they all came together in one box there. So yeah. And then one other thing I just wanted to share real quick here. I've been wanting to get the manual for this one. I had the cartridge, but oops, sorry. I spotlighted there yet? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Adam, the cartridge, but then I also wanted. I've never had the manual, so I always thought the manual was kind of neat. So that was the main thing there for that one. It was kind of a neat manual. I always like the front cover of that one. So Adam.
Chuck Allison has to go. Take care, Chuck. Neat. Nice little collection of cassettes there.
Yeah.
And that is, like those 10-in-1s. When you think about it, the amount of space it takes up to sell it on a shelf or to ship it in the mail, you're gonna, the cost of one tape is the same. So if you can get a tape with 10 games on it, then boom, there you go. Rising entertainment costs.
There you go.
I see you've added an extra bookcase in your room there because your collection's getting so big.
Yes, I do have an extra bookcase right here that is steadily getting full. Yes. So.
Very cool. Does anybody else have anything they want to share? Updates, acquisitions, things to share?
I'm
Brian?
going to do one on behalf of Ron Delvaux since he wasn't able to make it today.
Well, Brian, the Music Man, was showing his waving his hand first.
Okay,
so,
Brian, you go first.
So we'll get that going. You're still muted. Now you're unmuted. Okay.
Yeah, I'm unmuted. Yeah. No, I've just been having some fun stuff going on in my brain and that, and been getting back into Ultra Muse and that. And
the Sky Boat Song.
Yeah, my mom. Yeah, huh? What was that?
Sheet music.
Yeah, it's sheet music. Yeah, my mom turned me on to the Outlander series, and it's actually used as the theme song for the Outlander series, TV series, in that. And it's an old Scottish tune that I was looking for midis for the past couple years, and all of a sudden in the past 6 months, I all of a sudden see a bunch of sheet music now available for it. So I pulled a couple different versions out, put one version in. It was real basic. Then I found that version I just showed, which is for vocal, for four-part vocal. You know, your soprano, your alto, tenor, bass, and that. And I put fired up Ultramuse, which you see in the back here, and put it in literally yesterday, and it took me only like about an hour or so to put it in and all that, and made me realize just how much I forgot about playing with Ultramuse, because it's been kind of sitting on the shelf, not doing a whole lot with it, and that. So if you want to hear it,
yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah.
I think I got the level.
It's an old enough tune. I don't think there will be any copyright strikes either, because I think it's a traditional
it's
tune.
an old Scottish tune. Although, you know, it's being used on TV, so they might have re-upped it. But
I think you can. If it's old enough, they can re-up it.
yeah,
So I think.
Tell me if you can hear it. Okay, if it's too loud.
It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's too soft.
It's too well. Yeah, it meanders a little bit in volume.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Something is not right. That was not correct.
Can I demand a refund?
No.
I think that's a division by zero
I
error.
had a wrong patch.
Okay.
Sounded kind of distant.
Patch it up and then turn up the volume a little bit.
Already done.
Okay. Make it so, number one.
Is it playing now?
Yeah.
Let's turn it up.
Make it louder.
Is that better, or is it too loud?
That's fine.
No, that's good.
This piece actually has 8 voices going on.
So this song is how long, and how long did it take you to mouse it in?
It's only a total of 48 measures. And it repeats once.
Okay.
So.
And you said it only took you an hour to enter this in?
Pretty much, yeah. It was, well, there's not a whole lot of, as you can kind of see, the notes are not real complicated. You see the staffs going up and down. It's just because I've got 2 voices playing the same things, but using different instruments. And so that it broadens the sound so that you actually have a wider dynamic audio range to it, so that it actually sounds more spread out and more detailed.
That's pretty impressive to be able to enter that in 1 hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's, I played with it a little bit, but it didn't take that long because it's real simple. I've remembered the little tricks and hacks for entering stuff in.
We're being at Wings of a Dove.
I don't think I have that one.
No, that's 60 was asking if this was that Wings of a Dove. What was this one called again, Brian?
It's called the Skyboat song.
Skyboat?
Skyboat song.
Skyboat song.
Coming at you.
Coming at you.
Yeah, right there, right there.
Let me maximize you again. Hold on. Okay, yeah. the Sky, S-K-Y-E, the Skyboat song used in the Outlander series.
Exactly. Basically, the original Scottish song was about the Bonnie Prince Charles, who was trying to retake the English and Scottish throne away from the Protestants and move it back to Catholic. And of course, he failed in 1746.
Yeah, no, the Outlander TV series is kind of based on that premise as well.
Oh
She
yeah,
travels
yeah.
back in
I've
time
read the
and-
books too. So yeah, my mom got me into it, and it got me hooked.
That's
I
cool.
admit it.
Cool.
So anyway,
Well, that's a neat little
that's what
project.
I've got.
The music. Imagine that. The Music Man's project this week involved music. How ironic.
Yeah, I was expecting a Sprite library, but
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. Thanks for sharing that with us, Brian. Much
You're welcome.
appreciated. Much appreciated. Does anybody else have anything else they want to share?
I have one to
That's
share
right.
on behalf of Rendezvous.
Okay, so let's spotlight L. Curtis Boyle.
Okay, so Ron picked this up at Goodwill. Literally, I think on Thursday. And it's not CoCo related, but it's an old game console. Kind of
Oh,
a Pong
wow,
with
that
two
looks
built-in
really
free-floating
cool.
joysticks, and it's basically a Pong style game. But it's called the Unisonic Olympian 2600, and it came out in 1978.
That is really cool looking. It's very
And that's
Star
not
Trek
one I've
looking.
ever heard of before.
Yeah,
So.
very Star Trek looking.
That count has 2600 on it. That's
yeah,
funny.
Olympian 2600, right?
Apparently, that was a popular number back in the day.
Yeah,
But he mentioned it had like free-floating joysticks, kind of like the CoCo has.
yeah.
And those blue buttons on the top of the main center part are to select which Pong style game you want to play: a shooting game, hoops game, basket, or soccer,
Okay.
whatever. Too. So, but it's basically like a fancied up, Telstar or Pong style.
That is really, and I think you said he got that at a thrift store or Goodwill or something like that.
Goodwill.
He has got the best Goodwill anywhere because he's always finding
Yes.
something really cool, and it's like, dude, I don't see this stuff anywhere.
No, I go there and I find like a pottery or something.
Yeah, yeah. That is cool.
Anyway, he wanted me to share that. He just texted me this morning about that because he discovered he wasn't able to make the show. So.
You know what I love about Ron? I mean, that is so cool. And Ron loves his dog Pearl, and Ron loves his mom. He's a good guy. He's a good old American boy. And a matter of fact, I love that he was thanking everybody for the birthday wishes that people sent Pearl on Facebook. He posted a picture saying it's Pearl's birthday, and it's like, thank you.
Pearl says thank you.
Pearl says thank you for all the wishes. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that thing looked very, very 60s. Was that? I guess he was thinking too that looked kind of Star Trekky. All right, so we'll take a break and then we'll come back with Michael Furman's favorite part of the show, Snoozy Newsy. After these words, one more break. I think I'll do our block of public service announcement stuff if I can even find that one. Yeah. All right. So we'll be back after some public service announcements with news by L. Curtis Boyle.
Hi, this is Eddie Zerbinsky from beautiful Quebec City. Vous écoutez CoCoTALK.
As you're enjoying CoCoTALK, we also want to remind you about the CoCo Discord server. This is a place where people come to connect, to ask questions, to provide answers, to share information, and to socialize. So when you're done, why don't you head on over to the CoCo Discord server and we'll continue the conversation there. The easy to remember link is discord.cocotalk.live. See you on Discord. CoCo123 is the Glenside Color Computer Club community newsletter that's been in publication since 1985. While the Rainbow magazine may be gone, it doesn't mean you still can't have a cool CoCo periodical. Head on over to the Glenside Color Computer website at GlensideCCC.com and then click on the Documents link to view all the past issues of the CoCo123 newsletter. Not only can you read all of the past and present issues, we'd also love to hear some submissions from you. So if you'd like to send an article, a column, something to talk about, maybe even a program listing, send an email to GlensideCCC@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. The CoCo World Map is a cool community resource where you can view coconuts from around the world. Head on over to map.cocotalk.live and see where your fellow coconutians happen to be living on the planet Earth. If you would like to submit yourself to be on the CoCo Map, send an email to cocotalk@cocotalk.live, and we look forward to seeing you on the CoCo Map. Hey guys, it's Stevie Strode. If you've been watching CoCoTALK for a while, hopefully you understand that everyone is welcome to join this show. You don't need an impressive resume to get on. You just need to enjoy the CoCo and be willing to talk about it. There is no wrong way to CoCo. There is no wrong way to be a fan of the CoCo. There's no wrong way to be on CoCoTALK. You just have to want to talk CoCo. So if you would like to join us, then reach out to us on our Discord server, which is discord.cocotalk.live, or send an email to cocotalk@cocotalk.live, and let's get you on the show and let's talk about the CoCo.
Hi, I'm Tim, and you're watching CoCoTALK Live. And I'm playing Daggereth online like that idiot from the book.
Can you dial back on the condescension there as you respond there?
From around the world, what you need to know. Get caught up on News with L. Curtis Boyle.
And now a Muppet News Flash.
Take it away, L. Curtis Boyle.
Okie dokie. I assume that is showing up?
Yes.
So TJBChris, who I think was in chat earlier, don't know if he still is, but he did one of the most interesting projects I've seen for a while for OS 9. He actually boots OS 9 Level 2 on his CoCo 3 off cassette. I'll play a little bit of it.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks
How's the
for
volume?
watching. I think today we need to spend some time with
You can go
OS
up a little
9
bit.
Level 2, don't you? So let's get that booted up.
He's got his... in his floppy holder, he's got the cassette. Oh, I love the music. It's the bossa nova.
Well, OS 9 boots. Let's talk a little bit about the project and this video. So this idea wasn't mine. It actually came from someone whose name I forget, I'm sorry, on the Facebook Color Computer group, asking whether it was possible to boot OS 9 from a cassette. And I read that post and thought, gee, that sounds like something that's right up my alley.
It's like he's got a copy of Gunstar there on the side of the monitor, too.
Wasting lots of time to do stupid parlor tricks on
He's doing
old
OS 9 Gunstar, obviously he has taste.
So, why not stick with that tradition and do it again? Here we are.
Product placement.
Watching OS 9 boot from a tape. So I thought it was a neat idea. I had already done the OS 9 Level 2 and ROM project last year and made the video about that. So I figured that this would be right up my alley. I did use the OS 9 Level 2 ROM kit as the basis for this, but I did have to write my own custom OS 9 boot module. And as you'll see, I also had to write a little bit of custom assembly code to align everything in RAM to make this thing kind of work. And that was because I had intended to use multi-part binary files to do this, and I could not find any utility that would write a working WAV file from a multi-part binary. I did have a version of this that I was testing on disk images that would load into memory and run, but for some reason it would not work on a cassette. So I ended up having to make one big contiguous file that I could see load as one block, and that is what I'm doing here. While we're waiting for this to load, this is my first color computer video since last August. I apologize for that. It's not for lack of love of the platform.
I'll just mention, I'm just going to play up until he gets it up and running. Then he has a whole, the end of the video is all a technical explanation of how he did everything. I won't play all that. You guys can, catch that on your own time. But I'm just interesting to see, because you're kind of getting a real time of how long this takes to load the OS kernel from cassette.
I had a
David Ladd can fix that.
a cache of projects built up for the Model 12 and a few for the Model 4.
Hey,
Kind of became
MPI
a-
He needs those new turbo cassette loaders, that's
and
for
I
sure.
finally got through that list of projects, and in the meantime, work and other commitments kind of took away from me. So I've actually been working on this video in this project for about a month now, but that's pretty
MPI unplugged, nothing up my sleeve.
Yeah.
I ran into a fair number of problems too. But anyway, this is a 2-minute and 50-second load process for this that I've probably pretty much killed with my jabbering. So once this is done, we will execute this and watch OS 9 start. You'll notice there's nothing connected here. The multi-pack is not connected. There's no other trickery going on here. Certainly wouldn't want to subject you to 3 minutes of me talking and watching a flashing F just to have it be faked out by like a serial cable or loading through telepathy or whatever.
That could be one of those Wi-Fi kits like Sloopy has.
Yeah,
yes, but
drive wireless. Which, by the way, Sloopy, reminder.
While this is finishing up,
Right
I will
up.
be putting the code up for this on. In the back nine of this, I'm going to talk about
Gotcha.
a little bit of what I did and how I did it, but we're not going to go into the levels of detail I'm used to. I don't know that anyone really cares for that level of. I've started enabling comments for my YouTube videos. We'll see how this goes. It's a trial basis, but I have been pretty lucky thus far. And now that we are done loading,
Boom.
let's EXEC.
Well.
See, we're booting OS 9. And there we are, Shell OS 9. And if I take a look at my modules here, I've got myself the usual bit of modules. ROM info is actually an artifact of the fact that I did use the OS 9 Level 2 ROM kit, but is actually unnecessary, and its code goes unexecuted. So I could have taken it out. But everything else, I have my RAM drive driver and everything else like that. So here I have an 8K RAM disk. I also have, you can see this is level 2. It's not only from the copyright notice. Man, put a camera on me and I can't friggin' type. Okay. 440K. I can display stuff. And I can even write a file out, although I don't actually have a way to read the file back because I didn't include the list module. But hey, look at that. We do have a working copy of OS 9.
Farts.
So that is it. It's running from cassette. There's no other stuff done. Now, of course, OS 9 can't access the cassette. It can't read or write from the thing. So there's not much you can do here. But there it is. That's OS 9 from cassette. Oh, let's push the stop button here. So
Anyway, I thought it was a pretty interesting project actually to
is.
get that to work. And it gives opportunity for anybody that has a CoCo 3 but doesn't have a disk drive and doesn't have an SDC. You could theoretically take his boot system here and then insert like a game like, say, Rescue on Fractal or something, and actually have it load off cassette and actually run.
Wow. And then you put the high-speed tape loader technology that,
Yes.
that David's excited about.
Yeah, because I mean, this is running at stock speed. He said it took just under 3 minutes. To the
Mr. Dave says, OS 9 on cassette. Did two wrongs make a right?
I'm just surprised Nick Merentes didn't come up with that first. But yeah, it has some opportunities with that fast load. I mean, the regular fast load off the analog cassette could run at 4 times the speed. So that would cut this down to 45 seconds to load.
Yeah.
And because he has the RAM disk driver, if you pre-set up the descriptor for it, you can make a RAM disk, the size of a full-blown floppy or a double-sided floppy or something like that in the 512K machines. You can actually do a fair bit.
That's pretty cool. That is neat.
Yeah.
Great exercise.
I've never do this myself,
and, yeah.
but it's a cool concept.
It's a great exercise and hold my beer, right? Somebody says, can that be done? Hold my beer, right? And here it is. So,
Yeah.
Cool.
As he mentioned, it's based on the ROMable OS 9 project that I think Boise had done way back when he did the Toyota project back in the 90s. So kind of based on that. OS 9 was designed to be ROMable in the first place. In fact, that's used as when it's used in a microcontroller environment, that's usually what it's
Right.
ran as.
It's an embedded system.
Yeah.
That's neat.
I want to see OS 9 loaded from punch cards.
Okay, the latest one here, Simon put up a video, and he's also got the download for both the disk image for this, and he's also got the download for the source code in the Facebook group. So there's 3 different links there that can get posted. I'm only going to show the video. I'm not going to show the links to the other ones. But it's basically just doing, it was a competition going called the Love Byte Size Coding Contest. And it was to do some, wacky demo or something like that has to fit in 256 bytes of code or less, which is what this
is like the assembly language version of a 10-liner or something, huh?
Yeah. This one, as he mentions here, came out to 237 bytes.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, not bad for 237 bytes.
Yeah, pretty smooth.
Anyway, just repeats that same pattern. Like I said, it was for the contest. I didn't hear if the results had come out yet, if he won an award or something for doing that.
He should win an award.
It's a
Next
major
up,
award.
Yeah.
Roger Voss posted this rather interesting question in the CoCo group on Facebook. And he says, do people that love the CoCo computers love it because of its uncharacteristically very cool Motorola 609 8-bit CPU with some 16-bit instructions because it was one of the most advanced 8-bit CPUs ever? Or do they just love it because, say, it's their first computer? And then he's got 75 comments so far on people, and a lot of it's people. It's both. They bought it because it was like their first computer and it was cheap and cheaper than anything else at the time, and then they grew to love it because of the 689, etc. And then some other people mentioned certain games and stuff. So I thought it'd be something to throw at the panel here if you haven't participated in the actual online version of it here. Any thoughts around the table as to what got you into it?
I got mine to help me pick up girls.
Wow, did you ever pick it up?
How's that working for you?
You sure
would
you're married?
Would you like to come back to my house and take a look at my CoCo? It's got a sophisticated processor.
Do you have any marshmallows for that CoCo?
You had a cassette tape.
I know in my case, what got me to get it is I've been fiddling with the Pet and then the Apple II Plus at school, and I wanted to get either one of those because that's what I'd used, but the prices were astronomical, especially on the Apple II Plus. And then I went to Radio Shack, and of course they let all the kids play on the computer as much as they want.
Yeah.
And they left the manual out, and I got to see that the basic, extended basic, in particular on the CoCo, was so much better than any of the other ones I'd ever seen. That was my selling point. That's what I decided for. I had no idea about the 689 or anything.
Just like drugs, give them a free sample.
Yeah. I had no idea what processors were, but
well, the basics what sold me though. I mentioned it here, like it did some other things too, but that was the one that initially made me choose the CoCo.
Same here. I'd had a ZX81 and that basic wasn't bad. Then I had a TI and that sucked. And then I was looking for something with a good basic, and CoCo had Microsoft Extended Basic, which was top of the tree at the time. And then it fell into the whole CPU and then nitrous, and never used basic again, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah, well, that's the same as me. I kind of stumbled onto the CPU in OS9/Nitrous 9 later on, and it was like just an accidental. You kept going and finding out there's more and more power to it than you originally thought.
Yeah, I think part of it was just the local Radio Shack was on the corner strip mall that you walked by all the time. So like the grocery store there was called Publix. So like anytime you needed to go to the grocery store, you walked right by Radio Shack. And I was always intrigued with Radio Shack because it had electronics and stereos and speakers and stuff. And so I had been hanging out at Radio Shack since the Model 1, the black and white TRS-80 came out. And so I always thought, well, computers are neat. And the fact that they didn't say, go away, kid, right? So they let you loiter, basically. So then you kind of adopted an appreciation for the machine and possibly a loyalty to Radio Shack and the brand because these are nice guys who are letting me, this snot-nosed kid, hang out and, punch on the keyboard of a $500 or $1,000 machine, and they're not telling me to go away. So I think at some point in time you develop a loyalty, and then I wanted a color computer, and they also had a layaway program. So as soon as I was old enough to get a job, which was 14, I started working and saving money, and I put my color computer on layaway, and they held it for me, and they held on to everything, and I don't remember how long it took because I think I was making like $30 a week before expenses, but I was eventually able to get that $500 computer. And because the store manager liked me and let me play on the CoCo and stuff like that, I just felt very loyal to the machine. And that was my first computer, it was my first love. But I didn't buy it because of the processor. I wouldn't have known what a processor was. I wouldn't have known a good one from a bad one. It had color, it could play games, it had text adventures, it had, arcade style games. It had anything I could have wanted at that time at 14 years old. And
it was affordable.
It was reasonably affordable. Yeah, I mean, it took me a while to save up for it, but I had never considered buying an Apple or an Atari because they would have been twice the amount of money to buy.
Yeah.
So the fact that I could get a computer and bring it home for about $500 was a low financial barrier to entry.
Yeah, and the fact it was also hooked up to a TV, which some of the others kind of recommended composite monitors, which I couldn't afford that either. So now I wanted to ask Nick Merentes, since he's still on the call, hopefully still awake. I know in Canada and the U.S., basically the Radio Shacks all let kids come in and hammer on the computers as much as they wanted to, which actually proved the ruggedness of the CoCo as well. And I was wondering, was that the same thing that Tandy did in Australia, or was it more like the traditional computer stores where they'd have to sit there and watch you, and if you started playing the game too long, they would just boot you off, or sometimes they wouldn't even let you on at all?
No, it was the same, and I was one of those kids who rock up in Tandy stores and spend the 2-3 hours after school at. So yeah, and that was a good marketing ploy because the public would see this little kid in front of the computer, and they probably thought, oh yeah, I want my son to be a brainiac like that kid. But so they, let's buy.
Well, obviously they didn't see you then, right?
No, that's right. Little did
Hey,
they know
listen.
that they were actually destroying their kids.
Yeah, Nick is on the cover of a book now, Curtis. Show some respect, all right? So.
No, to be honest, his game design is on the cover, not
Yeah,
Nick.
wow.
I was going to say, there's a
Brainiac thing
reason
there. So.
there's a metal plate on the bottom of these keyboards.
Yeah. Well, as much as we're sitting here complaining about how the chiclet keyboard sucks, we've seen many cases today alone of the templates that went over the keyboards. And so as much as the keys might have sucked, the fact that you could put that template on there and color code things was a neat feature that would only apply to that first generation keyboard, because there is no way to template a modern or a bigger keyboard, right? Because the keys are just.
I mean, the PCs like WordPerfect have had templates, but it was just for the function keys. It wasn't for the whole keyboard.
Yeah. So the one like Jason was showing with the color cubes thing, that's really cool, and that's a kind of a signature thing that to have that template that went with the keyboard is a kind of a value added thing, I think.
Yeah. Also, we have a comment from Daddy Burrito on YouTube saying, gosh, that's something I forgot about Radio Shack. They were always kind, professional, hardworking people, and they never asked anybody to leave the store. And they're the people that actually told me about the CoCo Club and put me in touch with the members. And that actually happened to me, too. Because I went in, I've mentioned this story before, I saw Astroblast. Somebody had loaded on and left the store type thing. It was a third-party app. And I was like, holy cow, Artifact Colors, what is that? And I actually talked to the manager at the time. I think his name was Morris. And he actually mentioned the guy's name, and he got us in touch with each other within a couple of weeks, and we started the club, the local club for the CoCo, based on that meeting. So yeah, they helped form our club.
Yeah, I met a guy at Radio Shack, and it became kind of like my first mentor. He was older than me, but he also loved computers and stuff. And this is just a sign of the times too. Like meeting a stranger, an adult stranger as a kid nowadays seems frightening, right? Hey, Dad, guess who I met today? Some 30-something-year-old person I met at the electronics store. Yeah, really? Well, let me call the police, right? So, but this was a guy who became a really good friend and a mentor, and we developed a lot of stuff together. Like he would do graphics, and I would write some of the code for demos, and he got me a job. He got me into the college that I went to, and got me one of my first jobs working on computers out of college. So, so it could be some interesting success stories. The friends you might meet there, like you mentioned, being turned on to a local club or something. But I think the world was different, the times were different, and I think the vibe of Radio Shack was more user groupy, because the people that came to Radio Shack were either into electronics or were into something that was a shared collective thing that was kind of like, you're already a member of a club if you went to Radio Shack, so we're all in this kind of, global club in some sense. And so you were just treated differently, I think.
Totally agree. And then the same thing happened to me. I mean, the person that I met that we ended up forming the club between three of us, which is Dwayne Downing, myself, and Dick Powell's the older fellow. I think he was in his early 40s at the time we met, and I was in high school. We formed the club then. It was the same thing. Like he was just a guy who was really into electronics. He was a hardware expert out of us. Like Dwayne and I were the programming style, from doing it at school on the Apples and the Pets, and then we got the CoCo itself. But he was the guy that he did all of our RAM upgrades, and on my old D board, he had to take the motherboard out and cut traces, and just to get it to run with 32K. So yeah, it was the same situation you had.
Chris Corrin says hi from Belgium. Hey, Chris.
Oh, you said he did the hardware. We knew you weren't soldering anything.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
God, no.
and so when you think about, like, I think a lot of us have had this story, like the color computer or Tandy or Radio Shack, whatever, it kind of made us the people we are today. What I can say this with some level of certainty, but you can't go back into the past to prove the theory. But had I gotten an Apple or an Atari or a Commodore, I would not have been as interested in programming because I don't think the basic language would have empowered me as much. So part of what kept my interest was how empowering Microsoft Basic was, Color Basic and Extended Color Basic, the stuff you could do with it. So you felt like you were damn near invincible. That anything I could imagine, I could make. And so that held my interest. The games did too, but if I had an Atari or an Apple or Commodore, I don't think the Basic would have held me. So it would have ended up becoming just a video game system. And yes, I would have loved the games, but would I have gotten into a career and wanting to become a computer? Because I originally thought thought I was going to become a programmer, and saw how well that worked out. But I thought, because I could program in BASIC, I thought, well, shoot, man, now I'm ready to go to college and learn about assembly language and make really good games. And that was my plan. But I wanted to become a computer programmer because I had an interest in programming. I don't think the other 8-bits would have made me as interested, and I might not have wanted to pursue the computer career path. And I might be a completely different person today because of that if I had bought a different system that had better games, but a shittier version of BASIC. Whoops, I just cursed. I was already warned about cursing on the show. Sorry. But you know what I mean? So that's just my thinking about what could have been if I bought a different machine.
Yeah, I have to agree with that too. I mean, the CoCo, I eventually did get into assembly language, of course, but at that time I didn't even know what that was, never mind.
Right.
But the fact that the BASIC was enough to make a graphical game pretty easy to program for it. I mean, the speed would be the only thing you had to worry about. Your creativity was the only other limit.
Right.
That really did help. And I mean, I tried the Apple II Plus when we first got it, because all of a sudden I got high-res graphics and I can change the color and I can draw lines, and that's about it. And then I went to the CoCo and there's like curve, circle, and paint, get buffers and all this stuff. And then I went back to try that in the Apple and none of it worked.
No. Yeah.
Any other comments from anybody else before we go on the next story? Okie dokie. Good topic to chew on there. Okay, I'm not going to play all the videos here, and actually they just posted the 5th episode during the show, but the Coco Crew with Mike Rowen doing this in particular is doing a series called Retro Printing for Fun and Profit. The Fun and Profit's kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing. It's basically how to get some of the older printers how they work on the CoCo.
How much can I make off of printing on this thing?
But basically, they're going through and they set up a Raspberry Pi to be kind of a go-between so that you can have the CoCo print to printers wirelessly. You can also have your PCs use these old printers and older computers linked through it and type of thing. And it's a 5-part series. So I'll just mention what the parts are here. And I'll just show you like a screenshot from the videos here because they're all 10, 20 minutes long. So, and like I said, they're up to part 5 already. The first one here just goes through the DMP 130, which is pictured here. How to hook it up to the CoCo, how there's the 2C connector on the CoCo works, and how it originally talked to it. And then part 2 goes into setting up a Raspberry Pi. Now he actually goes into how to set up the Pi itself in part 2, basically to get Linux installed on it, etc. Part 3 and part 4 he goes into installing Cups, which is the
common Unix printing system.
Yeah, also used by Mac OS X.
Mm-hmm.
And then part 5 they just posted, and I just saw the link, the flash on my screen here, so I don't even know what it's about yet at this point, but I think it's actually getting into the actual setting it up to print. So he goes through here, and he goes in this first episode, he kind of goes through the printer itself, how to replace ribbons, etc. Really old school. And part 2.
Hi, I'm Mike Rowen.
I'll just play a little bit.
Welcome to part 2 of Retro Printing for Fun and Profit, sharing new and old printers with new and old computers.
I love the idea here. Fun and profit.
I don't know if they're actually going to get to the profit part, honestly.
You can just select which image you want from a drop-down, and it will automatically grab it across the internet.
He goes into quite a bit of extensive detail on
That's cool.
How to set it all up, right from scratch. If you've never done any of this stuff before,
Hi, I'm Mike Rowen.
He goes through it all. So I'm not going to play them all because, like I said, that would take like an hour by itself.
That's cool. That's cool.
Now, next up, Boisy, also from the CoCo Crew. So he's got a website now devoted to his new Ghidorah project, which he's actually working with Jim on doing the hardware, Jim Brain of Retro Innovations. So we've kind of talked about this before, but he's actually got a website dedicated to it. So you can get some details on it. He's also got some of his other projects he's done in the past and is currently working on as well. So I wanted to show that the fact that he's got a separate web page for it. We've also got a Discord channel devoted to it too. So join the CoCo Discord to get involved with that. It's been pretty active. But the other thing he's added in recently too here, which he calls Ghidorah, Tickle the Dragon's Tail. This is actually, he's a site that's being served by a Raspberry Pi Zero W that is connected to a cluster of CoCo 3s using the Ghidorah cable at his place. You can actually log in and send stuff to the CoCos that his system is running and linked up to live. Which I'll leave it up as an exercise to the user unless you guys want me to send something.
Can you see what comes back?
I should be able to do a read. Yeah, so you can see some people have here sent messages like "Hi boys."
Okay, hi boys. CoCo.
Here, and you can switch to a different node if you want to.
Hello, CoCo World. Okay. Boo to Oz. Okay.
But this is literally live CoCo's on the network.
Yeah.
That you can talk to using the Ghidorah thing.
That's interesting.
So I thought that was a really innovative way of showing off what it's capable
Yeah,
of doing.
because you don't need
a live on the web demo.
It's got a CoCo cluster. How many people can say they've got a CoCo cluster connected to the internet right now?
Yeah, I mean, CoCo clusters we did have with the Network 2 controllers from Tandy back in the day, which were cassette-based networks, but not on the net.
Yeah.
I would like to see this even expanded later on to, say, have a BBS running on the CoCo hooked up, that you could actually log in and like play some online games, send messages to each other, that kind of thing. That'd be cool.
That's pretty neat.
I'm all for that.
I was going to ask Mark, are the guys, like, you're kind of helping with Jay and Brett with doing this networking game here? Is this something else you guys are considering using?
Oh, yeah, might. It depends upon the speed. This type of network is like almost like token ring, where it has to pass from system to system to system, so it's a ring. So it only really work if you're like in the same room. I mean, I guess it could be done through drive-wire networking interface, but that would require a whole other level of networking. But yeah, something like that could be done, you know, the type of thing like this. And again, you know, the Galaxy server and stuff has got loadable drivers, so, you know, any sort of network interface could be adapted to work with it. Okay, but speed would be your main concern with the token ring style. Probably, and also dependency upon all the nodes being there, because there's
right, and
unlike real token ring, where if a system goes down, the card passes the token on. Anyway.
Yeah, I can't remember if his does that or not. I haven't actually.
No, because each node has to be active in order to pass the token on, because it's not a,
okay.
There's no
so
hardware.
One goes down the middle that basically shuts off any contact past that point.
Yeah, and it's only single direction, because each output from the serial port goes to the input of the next one.
Okay. Now, there is an opportunity as well, because Boise and Jim Brain have been working on a hub for Ghidorah that you can plug a bunch of CoCos in with individual drive-wire cables to this hub.
Right, star configuration.
Yeah. It does have the ability to turn on and off individual ports, and they were talking about some future version that could automatically turn on and off.
Like an auto sensing. Okay.
Yeah. And so there is a very early prototype hub that has been proofed out, and Jim and Boise are messing with it. So
that's cool.
We're in that space this year, but this would be an awesome CoCo Fest demo tool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Agreed. Because you can put all your CoCos on the table, have a pie with Ghidorah or a CoCo under the table that is your control station, and remotely trigger stuff on and off to all the other CoCos.
Yeah, Matt's asking what a Ghidorah cable. It's just a serial cable. It plugs into the serial port, so it'd be a 5 or 6 pin DIN cable.
Yeah,
would have to plug into this.
There's information on how the cable works on Boise's site and in the earlier versions of the video, where he actually shows how the cable itself is constructed.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you have any direct questions for anybody that is working on Ghidorah, along with Boise here and Jim, we have a dedicated channel on Discord for the Ghidorah project as well that they're very active on. So join the CoCo Discord and join that channel, and you can actually ask questions of the authors themselves if you have any.
Man, so many things going on in the world of CoCo.
And keep up with the GitHub releases that Boise does, because he's constantly patching the Python parts, adding new little tricks and stuff.
Okay.
Fabian's the guy who's working on the CoCopedia too, right?
Yeah, Fabian is, yeah.
Yeah.
So basically what he's posted about here is that he recently fixed his CoCo 3. Now, I won't play these videos and stuff here because that's his original post from a couple months ago when it was not functioning. So he's got it working now. So then he posted the question, how did you get started soldering, hacking, upgrading your CoCo? So it's kind of like the hardware version of the previous question survey they took, why did you get into CoCo in the first place? This is like, why did you, and what got you into actually experimenting with hardware? Now, obviously, it's a bit more of a limited audience. I don't do hardware.
Fixing the ribbon cable to the keyboard.
There's an answer for
you. But I know we have some hardware people on the call here, like Rick Yulin, for example. So what got you into the hardware side of things? Was it something you were previously interested in, and then you decided just to carry it on the CoCo, or did the CoCo get you interested in the first place?
I got started in hardware because of those red P-Box kits that you could buy for your lunch money at Radio Shack. So instead of lunch money, I would build 1 transistor shortwave radios and stuff like that. And so yeah, I was in the Radio Shack before the CoCo was even a thing.
Okay. So you basically would starve yourself to feed your nerd needs.
Exactly so, you know. Woe was the week I needed a roll of solder, because then I couldn't eat at all, you know.
And here I was just using the Battery of the Month Club. That's my extent of hardware that I did. Anyway, he's been taking some responses just like that other poll we talked about here. So if you want to chime in with your reasons for getting the hardware, it'd be kind of interesting to get a cross-section of people to see why they did that. Next up, speaking like Simon's little demo there about a very small program, Doug Masten of Contra's fame, who's just gotten back into the CoCo the last few years here, has actually put in the ZX0, which is a protocol for doing compression, decompression very fast in a very small memory footprint, like a zip or an LZH or LZH or whatever. And this is the one that was based on another project by a guy named, and I have no idea how to pronounce this, Einar Sakis or something, which is originally written for the Z80 processor. And basically this will very quickly decompress, and the actual decompressor on the CoCo, and he's got 3 versions. He's got a 6809 version, he's got a 6309 version, he's got a 639 turbo version. The turbo version's faster, but it's unrolling loop, so it's a longer one. But this thing will, basically do the equivalent of a Lempel-Zeff-Huffman compression or something along that line. And the code itself compiles down to the 6809 decompressor program is 95 bytes.
Wow.
The 639 version is only 75 bytes, and the turbo 639 version is 126 bytes. And apparently it's quite a bit faster than a lot of others that are this small. And there's some charts and stuff here, but I don't know what some of the other compressors, because they're listed by algorithm name instead of actual program, so I can't really compare. But if you need to do compressed assets, say for a game, if you want to fit it onto a single floppy image of 153K, but you want like digitized sound samples and you want a bunch of sprite data and everything else, and it's just going to take too much, you could compress it using this other guy's compression utilities for modern operating systems to compress the data down, save it to a CoCo disk image or a real CoCo disk, and then you can put this little bit into your program and decompress it on the fly. I mean, Sockmaster kind of used that technique in the Donkey Kong to fit the entire Donkey Kong transcode, because it decompresses data, when it initializes up, and this is basically what this does. But it does it quite quickly, and it takes almost no memory out of your program whatsoever. So it's something I might want to fiddle with a little bit later. I might even see if I can port it to OS 9, because this is currently set up for Disk Basic. But at that small size, I mean, yeah, you could probably do some pretty cool things. And this would be a good tie-in to TJBChris's OS 9 from cassette, because you could actually have that entire kernel that he's loading compressed using this, and then the cassette program would load the compressed version with a little program to uncompress it, and you might be able to cut the tape load time pretty drastically down with that, combine that with some of the turbo tape stuff that David Ladd and others have been experimenting with. Maybe you can load OS 9 off cassette just as fast as a Commodore can load Zaxxon. Anyway, I thought it was a pretty interesting project, and I hadn't heard of that particular one, but I definitely want to fiddle with it. Go ahead.
Or faster. You're talking about Commodore.
Right?
I love it when the 6502 guys fight against each other.
Yeah, Curtis is selling the popcorn there.
Yeah. Okay, this one here is on the Motorola 6809 639 6800 semi-language programming group on Facebook, which I don't know if a lot of us are on that, but it was kind of a tribute to the 6809 being used in the music industry. And I know Daniel O'Connor has actually demonstrated the Fairlight. And the original Fairlight 1, the very first one, actually ran off the 6800. And then the Fairlight 2 was off the 6809. In fact, they used to have like up to 10 of them at once, controlling different things. But Here Be Dragons, I'm not sure who exactly that is. It might be Dennis Kitts, I can't tell by the photo, but kind of looks like him. The 69 is an old place in music history, and they mentioned the fact that there are 2 of the most awesome synths of all time, the Fairlight, which we discussed before, and the PBG, both use 6809s in them. So I mean, there's a pretty good musical trail of the 609 being used in advanced synthesizers back in the day, and the later Fairlights afterwards used the 68000, I think it was, as the main controller, but all the little individual boards were 609 controlled too. So it just shows that when people had to pick a powerful CPU, going back to why did you pick the CoCo, the 6809 is a big part of that, because it was the chip of the day. Not the cheapest though. Okay, next up after that. Now, this is something that Stevie was wanting to make sure we discuss this here because we have the Glenside monthly meeting, and I finally made it to one of these in the first time in months, where we're discussing stuff about possibly having a new mascot. This was brought up by Boisy Pitre. Now, everybody that's familiar with Rainbow Magazine knows about the CoCo cat, which was actually, it was sold as a stuffed doll. There was a person that would wear the actual cat suit at Rainbow Fest, and it was meant for younger kids. Used to get your picture taken with them. And there's talk about maybe trying to come up with a new mascot, because the CoCo cat might still be under copyright for whoever owns the false soft IP at this time. Coming up another one that they wanted to be a quick, 2-word thing, CoCo whatever, and probably starting with a CRK to kind of have the right flow, and maybe picking like an animal, spirit animal type thing. And that was kind of discussed a little bit there, and I know there's been some suggestions from a few people, but they want to get some public input. What would you like? And then they'll try to, I think, Stevie, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think they wanted to try to pick a fairly common animal that there is.
Right. So there's a costume you can find that you can get over the shelf, right? We don't want to have to build, like somebody suggested have the actual CoCo, like you have an extended basic book, but that would be like you'd have to build that costume, right? So if it's a costume that's a common costume you can just buy, online or off the shelf, then, so pick an animal that a costume for that animal exists. But the idea is give CoCo Fest a mascot. I love the idea. I think it was a cool idea.
So you could get a Ratatouille costume and be Coco Rat.
Coco Rat. Could be. So we'll see if this is going to hold water. But I thought it was a cool idea. Coco Dino, right? Yeah, I like the Dino Wars. But we're looking for, ideally it would flow where the animal has a 1-syllable thing too. So like CoCo Cat was a perfect example of that. Like I had suggested, if we got like an alligator or a crocodile costume, we could call it Crocodile,
Coco Rex for a dinosaur?
Yeah, Coco Rex.
Yeah, so Brian Wiesler suggested that one.
Yeah, you kind of want the phonetics and the syllables to kind of flow like pop pop pop. Like a three. So the whole thing should be 3 syllables.
Like Coco Kangaroo.
Yeah, they could, but there's more syllables there. But yeah,
Coco Roo.
Coco Roo. Yeah. But yeah, so.
I have to,
go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Okay, I was going to say I actually like the idea. At first, when I heard, I was kind of like, "What?" Like none of us 50-year-olds are really going to be, dealing with, walking animal figures like at Disneyland. But then I thought, some people are starting to bring their kids out to the event.
Yeah.
And that is something that might encourage families to come out, or spouses that don't really want to go attend a computer show. If it's a bit more kid friendly, it might actually encourage some people to come out that normally wouldn't. So this might actually help expand the number of people that show up for CoCo Fest. So then I started rethinking, actually, this is a good idea.
Coco Ninja Turtle.
Boise has quite a list towards the bottom of the posting.
Yeah, and he sent out an email too with some of that. So.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay, so CoCo Carp, CoCo Catfish, CoCo Crow, CoCo Camel, CoCo Crane, CoCo Crab, CoCo Crappie, CoCo Cougar, CoCo Coyote, CoCo Collie, CoCo Croc, CoCo Chipmunk, CoCo Canary. So he was hoping for a K sound too, so like CoCo Cat. But yeah, so it'd be interesting to see what people suggest. CoCo Koi is what Mr. Dave is saying. CoCo Croc is what Jeff is saying. So yeah, CoCo Croc. Yeah.
When I hear carp, I think of the old WKRP episode where they had someone dress up like a giant carp.
Yeah. So
that might mean there's a costume that already exists for the carp then.
Right. So yeah, good ideas. So it's pick a. So not only is you got to pick one that's a name, but let's say we all decided that CoCo Crab was the best animal, but what if all the crab costumes sucked, right? So you kind of want to find a good name and an awesome looking costume too. So great. I think it's a great idea. I think it's to just add a little flavor, add a little pizzazz to hopefully the in-person CoCo Fest that we're going to have this year in November. So hopefully more to come on that as we start to pick out what the animal and costume is going to be.
Yeah. And Stevie, you pointed out something good too. You probably want to get somebody that's not super active in the CoCo side of things to do this, because you have the problem if you're dressed up all the time that you're not going to be able to attend.
Yeah. So if you're going to spend the money to buy the costume, then hire hire somebody to wear the costume. Just like you can hire a clown for a party, you can hire somebody to dress up like a Power Ranger for a party. So you just hire one of those people who do those costume performances for events and just give them that costume. That way, nobody has to take away their fest time to handle that responsibility.
All our good friends that hire a carp.
Right. Or, somebody might have a kid or something. You might have a teenage kid that can do it. Just pay your kid $50 to dress up like whatever the hell it is for the weekend or something. But, I know I would not want to be stuck in a costume and not be able to hang out that weekend,
Yeah. I mean, they do that a lot, like here in the streets, in front of a restaurant. They'll have somebody dressed up as some piece of food or something like that with a big placard, saying, come in for the special burgers price today or whatever it is.
Yes. So, anyways.
And then the second part of the Glenside meeting that we wanted to bring up today is because now that we're delaying CoCo Fest until November, so that basically we have enough vaccinations done that people can actually attend properly, including internationally, because I know in Canada we're a bit behind you guys in the States as far as vaccinations go. November looks pretty safe, but April was definitely out of the question. Should we have a virtual event that actually is an official Glenside event? And there was some talk about doing another virtual fest, but then it kind of, I think Stevie, you brought it up, and I kind of agree. Having two virtual fests within 6 months of each other is probably completely overkill. And that way we should have like an actual, like a club meeting or a club, come and go or something like that virtually through Zoom where people can just pop in and talk and stuff. So Jim is trying to take some suggestions about that and what we done. Anything you want to add to that, Stevie? Because I know you were fairly active in that discussion.
Well, Glenside historically has not done a lot of officially sanctioned virtual events just because they have not been in the practice of doing it, but they have done a few recently. So there was a Glenside social that was not too long ago, and then there was the Glenside virtual picnic. So they are opening up to the idea of doing it, and so one of the reasons why we're making sure this is official is because when we did the virtual CoCo Fest last year, it wasn't an official CoCo Fest like Glenside. Not that they're disavowing it, but they didn't sanction it. It wasn't put on by the club. We did it as a community service. So this is something that Glenside is doing. So we want to be distinction here that this is a Glenside event. This is not a CoCoTALK event. This is not a Coco Crew event. It's not associated with a particular group of broadcasters. This is the Glenside Color Computer Club, which is a global community. And in the last one that we did, I thought it was nice because you saw some different faces. You didn't see the same 12 people that show up on our show all the time. There were different people. You got to see some of the folks from Glenside that we don't talk to all the time, and you got to David Craker. I don't think has ever been on our show, but he joined that. He plays in the Game On Challenge and stuff. So it was just neat to see different people. So this would be a virtual, like a Glenside meetup. So just another happy hour social event that we're going to do, and probably in April.
Sounds like probably the end of April, I'm guessing, because they want to have one more club meeting to kind of straighten things out. Did I read that accurately?
Say that again.
I thought it was kind of discussed during the meeting that it would probably be near the end of April because there's one more meeting, Glenside meeting.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. So it'd probably be like the weekend of the 23rd or something like that. It might be when it be. So if we need to hash out any more details, but yeah, I'll plug that in the newsletter as well. That's going to be going out probably next week, just to see if we can get some interest in it. And but I think it'd be nice to do just another opportunity to get together and have people talk.
Yeah, and also to promote the Glenside Color Computer Club too.
And we can give updates on whatever's going on with CoCo Fest updates, and promote the club. Yeah, I think the club, they're definitely getting better in adopting technology and social media, but historically have not been the best at self-promotion. So the more that we can get the word out for the Glenside folks and let people know who they are and what Glenside's all about, I think that's just better all around.
Yeah, agreed.
So
anyway, if you have any suggestions, or just want to mention that, you would like to attend this when it goes on, hit up Jim Brain's post on the on the Coco group, or something. No, it's on the Glenside Color Computer Club.
Right. I think, unfortunately, there are some people who feel like because there are different shows that exist, they need to choose a side or choose a camp. And this is a completely different camp, and this is not either of those camps. So if you felt like I don't want to be on one show or be with one party because it might offend the other party, which, by the way, we would not be offended. But this is not, you don't have to worry about I have to choose a side or choose a camp or choose who I'm loyal or disloyal to. This is just an event that you can come to and have fun, and hopefully have fun. It's not about, what camp you subscribe to. It's just about supporting Glenside and doing something community related for, supporting the CoCo hobby.
Yeah, I just viewed it as a big virtual, meet and greet. We get people from all over the world and people that have not been on, on either show or any of the 3 shows for that matter.
Yep.
And just, kind of get to know some of your fellow coconuts.
Absolutely. Goodwill towards men and women. And
I made a choice.
Did you?
CoCo.
The CoCo.
I choose the CoCo.
There you go. Boom.
Yep, there you go.
Mr. CoCo.
Mr. CoCo. Anyway, it's CoCo Man talking there, so yeah.
Okay, this next story here, it's not really a story. It was a request that came to me in email directly from a guy named Aaron Ishmael. And he's looking for information on 2 CoCo titles that were for the education that Radio Shack actually sold. And they were part of a series called History and Technology. And these were fairly expensive. And from what I can gather from reading the ad copy, which I'll show you right now, because I just realized I didn't click on it yet. And why are you not loading this?
It's Safari on a Mac. That's your problem.
Mac. Okay, let me just grab it here. There we go. So this is from the 1985 Radio Shack catalog, and he's highlighted in the white, or the yellow highlighter here. So basically, history of technology. These packages describe major technological achievements through graphics, sound effects, and recorded speech. So I'm guessing these were on cassettes and actually used the audio on, motor on thing to do this. And there was 2 that are mentioned for the color computer here. There's the Pioneers in Technology, and there's Inventions That Changed Our Lives. Now, these were $95 US, so it's not a cheap package to get. And I have never even, I've looked at Radio Shack catalogs last, I missed this completely. I didn't realize these were CoCo ones, because I think I saw the very top part, under the header there is mentioning Model 3, so I probably just spaced over it. Does anybody on the panel here have these or has ever seen these in action before? Brian Wiesler, perhaps?
Give Brian 20 minutes. He'll find them.
Because I'd never realized this was a CoCo thing, and I've never seen them.
Yeah, that would have been an expensive package, $100 for something. I couldn't even
I know each
imagine.
package is divided into 4 lessons. It's programs with graphics and sound, plus the audio cassette, recorded speech portion of them. So it's fairly extensive. It's more like the Color Computer Learning Lab or something.
Okay.
And each of them have 4 lessons, so I'm not sure. I've never seen these.
Go ahead, Ron.
To see the package, what the package looks like.
Don't have a clue.
I wonder if it comes in like the folder with the sunset,
Oh, yeah, like the binder.
Might have. Like I said, I've never actually seen this package. I have no idea what it looks like. And the guy that is trying to research this, he can't find any shot or anything on the web of it either.
If Brian Wiesler discovers these things exist, he will eventually have them.
But Brian, you've never seen them then, I take it?
No, I have not. Sorry.
Add that to your list. Add it to your search criteria for when you hunt things down.
Like series numbers on them.
You sure, Brian? They're not sitting right next to your Ag Vision.
Now, the one thing I am wondering, because this did not happen often, but it did happen occasionally. Last Ninja is a good example of this, where Radio Shack promised a product, advertised it, and then it got yanked for whatever reason. I'm wondering if the reason nobody's ever seen these is maybe they never did get released. They were just announced.
I have a question too. Like in Pioneers in Technology, it says history of computers. They would probably only include Radio Shack, right?
No, I think they would have went right back to the 1940s with the mainframe.
Yeah,
and stuff, like
possibly.
the UNIVAC, etc. I'm guessing. I really don't know.
Yeah, I can't imagine him being biased in that respect. That's interesting. So send a copy of that to Brian so he can start to look up the catalog numbers, because I'm sure he'll put his.
I think he's already writing them down.
He'll put his sleuth skills to work on these.
Anyway, if anybody watching this after the fact, like after we're live, but catches it on the podcast, if you have any information on this at all, or better yet, if you actually have this or have seen it in real life, please email us at give us the email address, Stevie.
CoCoTalk at CoCoTalk.live. This would be great
I would like
to
to get more
archive.
information on this as well. I've never heard of it.
If
and I
these
didn't
could be
realize this was-
archived and digitized, that would be great. you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We've gotten some other rare stuff put on the Color Computer Archive now, but this is obviously even more rare than that because nobody's ever heard of it before.
Yeah. Don't put it
Okay,
on
next-
eBay, because if it's rare on eBay, it's going to go for a lot of money.
Yeah, well, it was going for $95 brand new back in the day.
Yeah.
So just imagine what it goes for now.
So the package above it has nothing to do with it.
This one?
High motivation history.
Yeah, that's Model
series.
3.
Okay, basic.
Oh.
With the Model 3 price, $299.
Yet the Model 3 one on the bottom, the next 4 years electing the president, was only $1995. So
All right.
okay, now we get into a little bit of MC10 news.
MC10.
So Robert Sieg, we've covered before. He's been writing this conversion program that will take a 24-bit color, 16 million color BMP file made on a PC or Mac or whatever, and convert it to the 128 by 96 by 4 color MC10 palette. And we've showed him before in the original basic version he did. It took 4 to 6 hours to process one image, and then he got it later by doing grayscale calculations only down to 60 minutes. And then he's kind of does a little bit of an update here where he's actually got it sped up now to do 42 minutes, and he thinks he can shave another 3 minutes, getting him down to around 39. And this is still all in basic. So now he's talking about at the end as an update that he's going to try to do some stuff with assembly language, see how much you can speed it up.
Wow.
So then you can create some graphical assets on your PC and then directly import them on the MC10 itself.
Do you guys know if you can double the clock on a MC10?
I don't know.
There's no SAM, right?
Yeah, and the SAM handled the clock rates.
I know there's no high-speed poke for it, so probably not.
Probably not, yeah. Unless you change the clock crystal or something like that, if it's even driven by one, as far as the CPU speed.
Or you could try Greg Dion's compiler.
Yeah, that's right. Jim Gerrie's been using it and getting 2 to 4 or 5 times speed increases on his stuff, so that's a possibility.
Would Ed know?
No, probably not, because there's no SAM.
Yeah, because the SAM had the poke for the CPU speed on ROM and RAM, and that's what's unique to the SAM. So yeah, you might be right. And then a second one is Jim McClellan posted that he got his TP10 thermal printer working, and he was trying to find paper of that narrow size to find, and he couldn't. So then he ended up going to Goodwill and found some fax paper for $2. So they have another Goodwill there. And instead of trying to slice the roll, I rolled out 4 meters of it onto open space in my living room where I have a plank flooring with a straight line down the seams of the tile, marked each end, taped it down on both sides, and then cut it down with a single razor all the way down. Worked like a champ, and he actually shows a picture of it printing based on that fax paper.
Yeah.
So
Hopefully he won't have slivers in his bare feet.
I just find it weirdly coincidental. We have both a CoCo entire video series on running the old line printers, and now we've got an MC10 story as well, running on a thermal printer. So it's printer week this week on CoCoTALK. Next up, we switch to the Dragon. So David S. Gisbert, who actually is the same person that did that poll about your favorite Dragon game back in the day, mentioned that he got his Dragon 200 MMC card. And then he's also got a Atari adapter, so I thought I'd show these pictures here because the Dragon 200 is a bit more rare. That's the European Dragon, if I remember. Karen, correct me if I'm wrong. Which basically is a Dragon with just with a the different label, and a Power Light. I don't think was on the stock Dragon either. And this is his Atari adapter, so he's got a dual Atari stick adapter for playing games on it. And this is the MMC. Now this is kind of the Dragon native European version of the SDC, though there are some differences. It does have the SD card type thing and emulates a disk drive, but it also emulates cassette, so you can actually load in cassette files, etc. as well. And I think it even allows you to do certain save states, doesn't it? If I remember correctly.
I'm not sure.
That's a real-time clock.
Mm.
But here's one of the menu systems on. You can see these are loading cassette files. So, and then the Dragon, of course, was much more cassette centric than the CoCo was because disk drives were so expensive in the UK at the time. The disk drives were a bit of a rarity, so it's nice that it has all that built-in support.
Ben Drake says yes, it does support save states, and Tom Eric is saying that was the Spanish-made Dragon that we're looking at there. Yeah.
That was a Euro hard, I think, after Dragon Data folded, moved to Spain. But it's nice to see what the software on the MMC looks like, and then the fact that it has all these extra features too that the SDC currently does not have. So. And another Dragon story here. Matt K has been working, and I think we covered a week or two ago that there were some labels made that weren't quite perfect, and somebody got it there, a hissy fit over type thing. So Matt's been working on doing exact replica vinyl stickers, and he's actually got some for order. You have to order them in a pair just because the manufacturing just makes more sense. You have to pretty well make them 2 at a time anyway. So £5 a pair.
Not bad.
And they look more like the original paper sticker than my metal plate ones, but the metal ones feel and look plusher. So it depends. Do you want accuracy to the time period? Do you want something that looks nice by modern standards? And he does mention in the comments later here too, and here's a zoom up of it, that he's actually got a Dragon 64 order going on as well. So if you have a Dragon 64 and you want to get a replacement label because yours is damaged, this is a nice way to get it.
It's a beauty.
And there's comparing one of the old, bit more yellowed versions to the current brand new, fresh, spanking new. And this last one was kind of mentioned in the comments in a Facebook post in the Dragon group, but I thought I'd mention it here. Because the Dragon was so cassette-centric, and because, just like the CoCo, when you switch from cassette to disc, some of the memory got allocated for disc stuff, which meant some stuff that ran in cassette originally does not run properly or crashes on a disk drive system. And we had a program called Disk Detach. We had another program called ROML, which is more meant for ROM packs, but it also helped with this, where we'd like map out the ROMs and
I had one
off.
called Disc to Tape and Tape to Disc and stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah. So basically this top one here, Detach DOS, is a quick little basic program that when you fire it up and you hit reset, it actually detaches the disk ROM and reassigns the RAM that the disk drive software uses on the ROM back to regular basic. So you could then run cassette-based programs that normally would just crash and overwrite the disk stuff and cause all kinds of weird stuff to happen to work. And like I said, we did have one in Rainbow called Disk Detach, I think it was called. It was a basic program that did something similar. And there was a commercial package called ROML that did that as well.
Oh, so this is actually unloading it from RAM,
yes,
even though it's still plugged in.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the ones that I had actually just moved the programs to a different spot of RAM and resaved them. So if you needed to needed to convert a cassette-based program to disk, it would load it and offset the memory and save it, and vice versa if you need to take a disk program and put it on cassette. So this is a little bit different. This is kind of just resetting your memory like the device is not there.
Yeah. And basically this served a twofold purpose. One was for compatibility, because like I said, some of the cassette programs would crash. I mean, the early days of the CoCo when the drive came out, that was happening constantly. I do remember that. You did load the cassette version with the disk drive and it would just hang. But the other reason is that you don't want to keep wearing the contacts out, especially considering, well, I don't know if the Dragon used tin contacts like the earlier disk controllers on the CoCo did, but they were cheap, and constantly plugging and unplugging them eventually wears them out somewhat. This way you don't have to do that. You just run this program, and then you could load a cassette program from cassette and it would just run fine. So, and that is the end of the news this week.
Okay. Very cool.
So I did one other plug I should mention. The CoCo show with Boat and Aaron is doing some recording tonight. I don't know if they've quite started yet, but they're doing 3 shows they're recording tonight for release later on in April, I think. They're doing the Spectrum show. They're doing their Ask Amigos, which is kind of an Ask Me Anything, where if you're on the Discord, you can just submit random questions of whatever subject you want, they'll answer, usually humorously. And they're also doing the CoCo show with Rescue on Fractalus. So if you want to catch that live on Twitch later tonight.
Which would also be appearing on our CoCoTALK Twitch channel because we host them.
Yeah.
So, okay. Rondelvo, welcome to the program. We Curtis showed off your acquisition of that super cool Pong game that looked like a Star Trek device.
Did you see what was written below about showing the processor and all?
Oh no, I didn't do that. Sorry.
That's on my on my wall of my personal thing. It had other games that are using the same chip, and showed the chip. Do you want to see it?
Yeah, sure.
It's not CoCo though.
Doesn't matter. It's retro.
If I share the screen, I don't have the. Well, I can do it. Takes a second.
So Pearl enjoyed all her birthday wishes, right?
Oh yeah, big Pearl bash. Is the right screen up?
We don't only see you so far.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know if I picked. Okay, let me drag this over.
I don't see you sharing anything right now.
Really?
Yeah, we're just seeing you talk.
Just you.
See the SDCX
Okay.
splash screen behind you.
There we go.
How about
Now,
now?
something's coming up.
All
okay.
right. Sorry for being so slow.
I see a wallpaper, an
Pretty
NVIDIA
cool, I
logo.
would say.
Yeah. Okay. There we
Okay,
go.
then I'll go to B, and then my computer's much faster now since I got a different one. Here it is.
There it is.
Now, under it. Let's see. Okay, 5 more comments. Okay, so people found it interesting. Where is it?
Click that view. Yeah, 7.
Yeah. Okay.
Facebook's getting
Here
really
it is.
irritating with the way they're doing their stupid commenting stuff.
That's the processor. Geez, you can't see it. It's so small.
Well, what is it?
It's a. Oh, there's also a video that a guy did. Here's the processor. It's a. It's on the Coleco, the Sears Hockey Pong, Radio Shack TV scoreboard, Unisonic Sportsman Tournament, Philips Telegame ES 2203.
So look at general purpose.
Playtronic. Yeah. All these different ones here. And that's the layout of the
Okay.
I can't tell you the name.
It's a
of it.
multi-purpose Pong processor.
Exactly.
It says AY on the picture there, so it's most likely a General Instrument / microchip.
And this is actually.
AY-8500.
Yeah, that's the unit that I bought there.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a power supply.
Okay.
But it's all there and it's in fairly good shape.
That's neat.
And one thing, Ron, we were commenting there is that you have a very different Goodwill than apparently anywhere else in the States.
Yeah.
Well, they're somewhat affluent here. And so you get all kinds of interesting drop-offs over at that little Goodwill. And that's one of them. This is the box for it. But I didn't get a box. You can
So
barely
you say you're
see
going
that.
to the Goodwill in the ritzy part of town.
Basically. Yep.
That's neat.
It's a AYS 8550 Taiwan.
Okay. Pretty neat.
There's also a video this guy came up with. See if I can show it. There's the box he got, and he shows the actual screen. If I can go through it here quick.
Is it color?
Yes. And he shows what the buttons are for. Let's see if I can make this taller here. This one.
There you go. See something
There.
blue. No signal. That's a good. Okay, there we go. So there's your Pong screen. Yeah.
And then it makes the paddles fatter or smaller so that you can cheat.
You get different options. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Variations. Yeah.
And
Different
there's
color
some
back.
orange. Yeah. And I guess all those buttons that go across each one's a game, and they're pretty crude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a neat system.
1978.
Yeah, it's
Pretty
one
neat.
I'd never heard of before, actually.
Yeah, me neither. I saw the thing and I thought, what is this? It's pretty neat.
I like the pinball ball joysticks. That's
I gotta find the somebody told me to look up on eBay the Unisonic wall wart, whatever. What the heck's blinking? Okay.
I don't know. All right, cool.
Anyways, here, leave.
Well,
Let's see now.
we're glad you could join us
Take
today.
me
Ron.
off.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, good.
So we're gonna roll the outro, but before I do that, anybody have any final thoughts? And Steve Bjork, I'm glad you were able to join us today. It's been a while. It's good to see you.
Gotta fly.
All right, Brian, the music man. All right, well, think about your final thoughts while I run the outro, and then you've got a few minutes to compose those thoughts, and then we're gonna press the button, Frank. This concludes another episode of CoCoTALK, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color Computer. For all things CoCoTALK, visit us on the web at CoCoTalk.live. We'd love to hear from you. Send feedback, suggestions, even segments via email to CoCoTalk@CoCoTalk.live. Consider supporting the show with a purchase of merchandise from our retro swag shop at 8bit256.com. If you'd like to become a patron of the show, click on the Patreon link on our website, CoCoTalk.live. CoCoTalk would not exist without the community, its cast, crew, and contributors. Thanks go to Alan Murphy, Bill Noble, Brian Joyce, Brian Wiesler, Curtis Boyle, D. Bruce Moore, Danny O'Connor, David Ladd, Eric Canales, Grant Leedy, James Diffendaffer, Jason Reichert, Jim Brain, Ken Reichert, Mark Bosley, Mark Overholzer, Mikey Furman, Mr. Dave 6309, Nick Merentes, Nick Marotta, Nick Marotta, Nick Marotta, Paul Fiscarelli, Richard Lorbieski, Rick Adams, Rick Hewlin, Rob Inman, Ron Delvaux, Samuel Gimes, Sloopy Malibu, Steve Bjork, Terry Steggy, Tom C., and many more. Please help support the CoCo community. A list of various contributors and resources are available at imacoconut.com. That's imacoconut.com. The original CoCoTalk theme song is copyright 2008 by D. Bruce Moore and Greg Sheeler. The new CoCoTalk theme song is copyright 2020 by D. Bruce Moore. Both are mixed, mastered, and produced by D. Bruce Moore. CoCo forever, people! All right. That's it. We're about ready to put a fork in it, but before we do, final thoughts.
Well, I had Cloud9 fix 2 of my multi-packs. I sent him to him. He looked at them. One was in need of nothing, and the other one, the main chip was blown on it, and he was able to replace it with a little daughter board thing that does the same function as this chip that you can't get anymore.
Okay.
And he also made it compatible backward with CoCo 1 and 2 by using the switcher for 1 and 2 for CoCo 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 for CoCo 3 and 4, or CoCo 3. Anyway, he did it. He sent it back to me. It was reasonable. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mark Marlette.
Mark Marlette. Very good.
Yeah, and then I've made 6 more groups, and we're going to go through them right now.
Coming up next, the Ron Delvaux Show.
Yes,
exactly. So that's it.
All right. Anyone else? Final thoughts?
Big shout out for me to Jay Searle for coming on and
yes,
demonstrating the
absolutely. Thank you, Jay.
And also how to pronounce Alcarron, because I didn't have a clue how to pronounce that before.
Was Alan going to say something? I thought I heard him talking. I don't know. Rick, thanks for your submission to the newsletter. Newsletter's coming along very well. I'm already at 40 pages with no filler, and we've got more to go, and we haven't even added the news to the newsletter. This is all articles. We've got like 40 pages of submissions. It's going to be a thick and juicy newsletter, hopefully ready for distribution next week. Rick Eulin's one of the submitters. We're going to have a regular Nitrous 9 OS 9 column from Rick Eulin. And thank you. Thank you, Steve Bjork, Jason Reichert, Curtis Boyle, Mark Overholzer for posting the links, Sloopy Malibu for doing all the timestamps in the videos, and Ron Delvaux for everything, Rick Eulin, Brian Wiesler, Nick Merentes, Alan Murphy, Steve Bjork, Jason Reichert, and myself. We thank you all. We're going to press the button, Frodo. Say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
See you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.